Not far from there is the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, where freedom was born more than 200 years ago. Across the Delaware Water Gap are the Pocono Mountains. It was in these Poconos in what was a spinach field during the late 60s that a racetrack was born. A racetrack that was like no other facility anywhere. Its shape would not be the standard oval or even a tri-oval, but a triangle combining elements of both a road course and an oval.
Well, it happened back 12 years ago when Mr. David Montgomery of Mount Pocono and a group of his associates bought a spinach farm, and it was flat, and they're all racing car buffs, and I think it was just a coincidence that the two should happen at the same time. And the seed was sowed at that time, and it just has developed and evolved to this point.
We really wanted to create a track for the spectator, a track where competition among the drivers was the essence of the facility. With Pocono, with the 3 turns, we make the drivers absolutely crazy, and the spectators love it.
It's pretty wild. It's you get in there and you're running 195, 200 mile an hour, and it's pretty bumpy getting in, and your car and handling just right, it can upset you getting in, and
absolutely one groove, and it's a give and take corner. You have to go there, and if you've given up the bottom of the racetrack and somebody's got a position on you, you have to back out and try and tuck in behind him.
You're carrying a lot of speed through there, and all the drivers, I think to themselves, like, man, if I get a little loose through here, it's not a whole lot of bank to gather me back up. So, you know.
We're back at Pocono for a race that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Today, live from Pocono International Raceway in Pennsylvania, it's the Miller Genuine Draft 500. The weather has not been good the last couple of days here. We had fog and rain on Friday. It wasn't too bad yesterday. Today, great weather conditions as we get set to begin the second half of the 1992 NASCAR Winston Cup season. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Bob Jenkins, and welcome to Pocono International Raceway, one of the most unique racetracks in all of the country. 3 long straightaways and 3 very distinct turns. This is a track that can give drivers headaches. Now, let's take a look at the quest for the Cup standings as we enter the second half of the season. Davey Allison remains on top. He's been there since the first race at Daytona. He's 46 points ahead of Bill Elliott, but Davey is the only driver in the top 5 who has never won a race here at Pocono. We mentioned how this track can give drivers headaches. Well, Davey Allison had a severe headache last week that put him in the hospital. Nothing caused by anything here at the racetrack, but he has overcome that to win the pole position. And for more on that, let's go to the pit area and Dr. Jerry Punch.
Thank you very much, Bob, and hello, everyone. After dominating the first half of the 1992 season, Davies begins the second half with no concerns about the car or the track, but a little bit about your health. 2 days in the hospital, Davey. How are you?
Well, Jerry, right now I'm doing real good. I was a little bit ill earlier this week, but I feel healthy and strong, ready to take this Texaco Havoline Thunderbird the distance today.
Well, maybe Davey will pick up win number 1 at Pocono. You remember, he has given headaches to other competitors all year long, but a month ago, defending Winston Cup champion Dale Earnhardt came here in second spot in the points. But 2 DNFs in the last 3 starts have put him back in 5th, over 250 points behind. And it doesn't get better, folks. He qualified 29th today. And just moments ago, they found metal in the engine. They had to switch an engine in the Goodwrench Chevrolet, so it's getting uphill for Earnhardt. The one driver who had a good month here at Pocono in June is standing by with John Kernan.
Jerry, of course, we're talking about the driver who won the race last month here at Pocono, Alan Kulwicki. And with that win, he was able to vault from 5th to 3rd in the points, where he stands right now, 134 behind Davey Allison. Alan, you guys, no practice on Friday, just practice and qualifying yesterday. Have you been able to get a handle on the car so that you can pick up some momentum where you left off here last month?
Well, this is the same car we had here last time. It ran awful good for us. I think our engine's even better this time. The guys in the engine shop have done a great job, and so I'm pretty optimistic about things, really. The Hooters Ford Thunderbird's running good.
Alan Kulwicki optimistic about another good run today. He'll start from the 10th spot.
Gentlemen, start your engine.
Points coming into this race. Fire to life as we get set. A couple of years ago, a few drivers began experimenting with transmissions because of the unique shape of this racetrack. With more on that, Ed Benny.
Well, a new era has dawned on stock car racing. We've finally gotten to the point there was shifting on the oval track, Ned.
I never thought I'd see it happen.
Neither did I.
Well, they are shifting here at Pocono, the only oval track on the circuit where they shift gears. Coming off of turn 3, they'll shift into 4th gear, which is an overdrive position, and then going into turn 1, they'll shift back down into 3rd gear. Now, this allows them to run a lower rear-end ratio, which helps them to get off the turns much better.
Tunnel corner and turn 3, very critical. They've got RPMs up to get off those corners, and that's what the transmissions do. And while they're dialing back, a road racer who's used to shifting, great qualifying run.
Well, they did have a good qualifying run, and I'm sure that this track has a lot of road racing characteristics. That helped him, and maybe the shifting helped him some, too. Jack Roush, the car owner, that number 16, says we're coming loaded for bear in the second half of the season, and maybe they'll start right here at Pocono.
There's another guy who had a great qualifying run, Richard Petty, in his last run at Pocono International Raceway, qualified 7th, and Ned, he can win today. He really can.
He can, but he's not shifting gears. He's going the old route.
Richard Petty with 2 wins here at Pocono, 1974 and in 1976. 41 cars are set to go 500 miles at Pocono International Raceway. Car of Mark Martin, and we'll have the Ford telemetry. And Benny, we'll notice now in the RPM on the upper right how the RPMs compare with the Jimmy Hensley number 66 car. Mark Martin is shifting. Jimmy Hensley will not be shifting.
Well, Hensley didn't shift here the last time, and we're assuming, I think he's not going to shift this time.
Yeah, one of his crew members told me they did not plan to shift.
And our other in-car camera is riding with Bobby Hillen in the Team Ireland car. And you can have a good view of the 800 number there that you can call and subscribe to the Racing for Kids magazine. That's becoming very, very popular among the youngsters that are fans of NASCAR, Winston Cup competition, and in fact all forms of motorsports. Davey Allison and Ricky Rudd are leading the field down through the number 3 corner onto this long straightaway that measures 3,740 feet, looking for the green flag that will start our race today. They get it, and the race is on.
Here comes Earnhardt already diving to the inside, and someone back there evidently didn't get a good start because they're about 60.
Well, it's a beautiful sight here at Pocono when they fan out going into turn 1. Most of the time they'll get down to single file, but they couldn't do it going through there 2 abreast this time.
But probably will get into single file formation before they reach the tunnel turn. Number 2, for which they are headed right now, with Davey Allison leading and the Hendrick teammates of Rudd and Schrader running 2nd and 3rd.
And Ernie Irvin's hung on the outside. He said in the corner, you can't go through that corner 2 abreast. But they made it that time.
A little bit of give and take there.
Riding with Mark Martin.
We see he's in 3rd gear. See, he's in 3rd gear. As he shifts into 4th there. That's a strength. Now back into 3rd already.
Yeah, that's strange. We didn't expect that.
Now he's going to shift into 4th gear as he goes down the front straight. There it goes into 4th. 187, 189, 190, 193 miles per hour. Downshifts up into 3rd gear. And he will run 3rd gear back up through turns 2 and 3. Kenny Schrader got a great start, didn't he, Ned?
Yes, he did. His car was fast here in June.
Schrader has moved from 5th starting position to 3rd as Davey Allison leads Ricky Rudd and Schrader. 4th would be Mark Martin, and 5th Ernie Irvin. 6th is Richard Petty. Martin now right on the rear bumper of that Kodiak Chevy driven by Ken Schrader.
And here's why they need that transmission. Oh, look at all this 2 abreast coming off this flat corner.
That's Bill Elliott and Dick Trickle running side by side. Elliott with the outside line. Here comes Morgan Shepherd. There's Hutch Strickland in 66, Jimmy Hensley, and Dale Earnhardt.
Richard Petty was looking inside of Ernie Irvin, wasn't he, Bob?
He's hanging right there with the leaders, just like he did at Daytona for the first few laps.
Looking very good.
And there is Dale Earnhardt as we look outside and back from the Jimmy Hensley car.
Bill Elliott started the 11th, fellas, and he has dropped back to 16th already.
Elliott with 4 victories at this racetrack. He and the late Tim Richmond tied for most wins at Pocono.
Bobby Hamilton, Country Time Oldsmobile, or is that a Chevrolet here this weekend, Ned? They've had both Chevrolets and Oldsmobiles.
Being shown as an Oldsmobile here this week.
Yeah, it is. I can see now.
Kinsley is running in 24th position, and Earnhardt is 25th. Waltrip making it 2 abreast down the straightaway. Here's Terry Labonte, who started from the rear of the field, also on the inside, picking up some spots.
Terry's picked up 8 or 10 spots already here.
Davey Allison still leading. Ricky Rudd second, Schrader third. The white car, 25, is Schrader. The 6th blue and white car is Mark Martin. He's the 4th place car currently. Right now, just trying to feel their cars out to make sure everything is okay. The first 10 or 15 laps.
Boy, it's been extremely difficult, I would guess, to set up a car for this track this weekend because they had no activity whatsoever on Friday because of weather. Limited time yesterday because of qualifying, and I'm sure there are going to be a lot of drivers searching for that right combination here in the early going.
Well, they had about an hour and 15 minutes of practice yesterday afternoon, and they all wanted more. I talked to Gary Nelson, and every team was begging for more practice, more practice.
Mike Skinner is already out of the race. He was not able to get up to power at the end of the first lap. We understand he had a clutch problem. They changed the engine on that car this morning, and apparently didn't get something right as far as the clutch was concerned. So he's out of it.
There's the leader, Davey Allison, who has led since the drop of the green flag and has about a 7th or 8th car length advantage on Ricky Rudd. Running in second spot is 4 laps out of 200 have been completed here at Pocono in the Miller Genuine Draft 500. More live coverage in a moment. Pocono International Raceway in the Miller Genuine Draft 500. Look who has moved up to 5th position. Richard Petty. He passed Ernie Irvin a minute ago and now is receiving a challenge from Alan Kulwicki for that 5th spot. But the king is Felix Gracie here in the early going.
Running very good. Kulwicki, of course, is running good too. He gets a bite on the inside. He might take over the 5th position. Kulwicki started 10th. Now moved up to 5th.
We can see that transmission. That's why Kulwicki, who shifted, had a little bit more RPM, as Ned talked about, coming off that corner. He was able to drive up under Richard, who's not shifting.
So Kulwicki now goes to 5th, and Richard Petty 6th. There's Ernie Irvin in 7th position. And the Mark Martin challenge now begins to be mounted against Ken Schrader for the 3rd position. Schrader running 3rd, and Mark Martin in 4th spot. Here's the in-car camera, actually the roof cam, and the telemetry with Mark Martin.
Mark tries to get inside the Schrader car, can't make it. Schrader told me he was going to shift here this weekend because he got beat last time because he didn't shift.
Now Irvin begins to challenge Richard Petty again. They come down the straightaway, and Ernie, who has the inside line. He and Richard side by side. Let's see who wins this race to turn number 1. Then we'll go to John Kernan. Ernie Irvin wins the race to turn number 1. He picks up the position on Richard Petty. Here's John Kernan.
You know, Bob, Richard says that if he doesn't run well anywhere else on the circuit, he's going to run well here at Pocono. That's certainly evident today. Robbie Loomis, the crew chief, told me this morning, he said, hey, we are fired up. We want to keep it burning. We want to make up for what happened back in Daytona a couple of weeks ago. And also one other note, Mike Cheek, the left side tire changer on the team, is in the hospital back in Greensboro. And Robbie Loomis, and Richard and the guys wanted me to say hello to him to let him know that they are thinking of him. Now for more on the King, let's go down pit road to Jerry Punch.
Just echoing that, John, Dale Inman and Robbie Loomis told me this morning they were so proud of the in-house engine program. It has come so far in such a short amount of time. Bob Riffle, who's building the in-house motor, said they have got a tremendous horsepower plant for this race today. I think it's already being evidenced by the fact Richard has been able to make a move and stay up toward the front. They are very optimistic, as was the King, about his chances here today.
Richard Petty has fallen back to 7th position after moving up to 5th. Behind him, a good battle.
Sterling Marlin, Morgan Shepherd. Marlin in the number 22 Maxwell House Ford. Shepherd in the number 21 Citgo Ford. And there's Brett Bodine in the Quaker State Ford right behind them. 3 forwards, badly.
Oh, almost 3 abreast going into the tunnel turn. That isn't going to work.
Sterling Marlin backed off and let Morgan Shepherd come back in. Because he knew that Morgan was hung up on the outside. He said, I'm going to give you a break.
I think he figures he's faster than Morgan right now, and he said, I'll get another shot at it. And he might have it here. He's going to try to get the nose up on the inside of the sit-go forward, and he does it.
And Brett Bodine will fall in behind Sterling and try to get in his draft as they move down this long front straightaway. 3 abreast back of him. That's Wally Dallenbach Jr., Kyle Petty, and Greg Sachs. Right behind them is Dale Jarrett and Rusty Wallace. Wally Dallenbach Jr. losing some positions here after qualifying for the 6th spot.
These guys got him hung on the outside, Bob, and they're just not going to let him get back in.
Ooh, here they are, 3 abreast. Darrell coming down on the inside. Rusty trying to go down there. He backed off. Ooh, that could have been interesting.
That could have been interesting. Here's Jerry Punch with a comment on Wally Dallenbach Jr.
Bob, this morning they were guessing in the garage here, and they decided to go ahead and make a 4-spring change in that car, saying they think the car might be a little too tight today. They're going to loosen it up. Wally told me we're either going to go forward or backward when the green flag drops, and apparently they've made a decision. They're going backwards. They're going to have to make an adjustment on the pit stop to try to tighten the car up a little bit so we can get back to racing at full bore.
Unfortunately, I think they did go the wrong way because he's definitely losing positions. Our first Autoline field summary for you as you look for your favorite driver. This is how they were running the last time by the starting stripe. Since we arrived here at Pocono this morning, we have been just absolutely deluged with information on Mac McClellan. Those of you who watched Saturday Night Thunder last night know that Mac had a very incredible accident at Indianapolis Raceway Park, and his medical status was unclear when they left the air. We do have an update on Mac. He is in semi-conscious condition in the critical care unit at Methodist Hospital. He has a basal skull fracture. Both arms are broken and both hands are broken, and they're continuing to watch Mac very, very closely. So our prayers and hopes are with Mac McClellan in his recuperation from those injuries last night at a USAC midget race at IRP.
You can see Davey Allison has built himself a pretty good lead over Ricky Rudd. Alan Kowicki running 3rd.
Kowicki's already moved up to 3rd spot, so it looks like he hasn't lost very much from the race in June 5 weeks ago.
And the King has dropped to 9th. Behind Brett Bodine in the Quaker State 26 and Sterling Marlin.
As high as Richard is coming off the 3rd corner, the chassis is just not right. You want to keep that car right on the bottom of the racetrack as you come off that corner. And the couple times we've seen Richard as he came off turn 3, he's going too high off the corner. Either the car pushing up there or the back end's loose. He's chasing the back end up there.
Well, Richard Petty would love to win that 201. A lot of fans would love for him to. Also, Kowicki now making a challenge.
For 2nd position. Ricky Rudd has been in 2nd since the green flag dropped, but is now losing it to Alan Kowicki.
Kowicki started 6th here in June. Didn't take him too long to get to the front. And then he dominated after that. And he's headed that way again.
Got a pretty good ways to go to catch Davey Allison. Davey's got about a 2-second lead, it looks like, on Kowicki now. There was your 4th place car, Mark Martin. Back in 5th is Ernie Irvin, who's gotten by Ken Schrader.
Schrader dropping back. Earlier was in 3rd. And then comes Sterling Marlin. 13 laps completed now. We've been green all the way. And Davey Allison has led all the way with about a 2-second advantage now on Alan Kowicki. More of the Miller Genuine Draft 500 after this. Davey Allison crosses the stripe and continues to lead the Miller Genuine Draft 500 Winston Cup race from Long Pond, Pennsylvania, Pocono International Raceway. 2nd place, here comes Alan Kowicki. Right behind him is Ricky Rudd. Then comes Mark Martin. Taking over 6th position just a few moments ago was Sterling Marlin as he was able to get by Ben Schrader. The telemetry once again in Mark Martin's machine.
Once again, going down the long pond straightaway in third gear. 8,000, 8,200, 8,300, 84, 8,400 RPM. As he accelerates off this corner, trying to get alongside the Tide Chevrolet. Can't make it because Rudd shifting as well. He has an extra few hundred RPM.
You see they have to decelerate going into this flat third turn.
Hit the brakes just briefly.
Looks like Martin's got a run on Ricky Rudd this time. He'll drop the car in fourth gear about now. He's getting away from Rudd, trying to take away the aerodynamic effect that Rudd would have alongside of him. Goes down to 133, 32, 132 miles per hour down in turn one. From 195 to 132. That's pretty good.
That's why they need to change gears on this racetrack, is because of the number of RPM that they lose in the turns if they didn't change gears.
Ford running first, second, and third right now. Allison, Kulwicki, and Mark Martin. And Martin is definitely closing in on Kulwicki.
Well, Kulwicki caught that slow car. I think it was Andy Belmont or Mike Potter going in that corner, had to slow down because of it. It's a one-groove corner. You just can't go through there side by side. He slowed down and allowed these fellas to catch up to him. Remember the last time when he passed James Hilton? Kulwicki passed James Hilton in that tunnel corner, almost lost the race because of it. I'm sure he was thinking the same thing when he went in that corner that time.
He's about 5 seconds behind Davey Allison right now. Alan Kulwicki is.
Man, Davey don't want to play with these guys, does he, Ned?
No, he just wants to get out there and run by himself.
He's got his toys and going home.
Sterling Marlin may have one of the fastest cars on the racetrack. He's moved up steadily and now runs right behind Ernie Irvin.
Started 14th and now in 6th position.
Talked to Junior Johnson on Friday, and he was so proud of the job that Sterling Marlin did out in Washington last week. They took both cars out there. Bill and Sterling went for some 500-lap race, and he said it's probably the best race that Sterling Marlin has ever run in his life.
Reports were that Sterling got a little confused, though, as to who was on the lead lap because he apparently allowed Bill Sedgwick to pass him, thinking that Sedgwick was a lap down. In fact, he was on the lead lap, and that's how Sterling lost the race. Look at that great battle.
Jockeying around. Mark Martin, Ricky Rudd, trying to get position.
Mark Martin lost his momentum a little bit coming off the corner and lost some speed.
Oh, Kulwicki's loose.
Irvin just got a little bit loose. Here comes Sterling Marlin on the inside of him.
Ernie a little loose also, and Marlin goes to the inside and picks up the position.
Sterling's car is looking good, and I haven't seen the thing bobble yet.
Oh, it does look good. Sticking right down on the inside where he needs for it to. Everybody figured that handling would be a key factor here today because it's pretty worn. I guess in the low to mid 80s, and the track will get a little slick as we go along, and handling will become more of a factor as the race goes on.
We can see the car strung out the entire front straightaway here at the Pocono International Raceway.
Turn number one is the steepest banked of all the corners at 14 degrees. They're on the Long Pond straightaway, which is 3,055 feet in length. The corner, turn number two, the tunnel turn that they're approaching right now, as we once again join Mark Martin, is 8 degrees of banking. And the straightaway that connects second and third turns is 1,780 feet in length. And Davey Allison right now is in turn number three, which is banked at 6 degrees, and Marlin continues to move up.
While all this going on, Bob James Hilton has taken his Patrol Rumble furniture car to the garage area and out of the race.
And here's Marlin on the inside of Mark Martin, trying to take away the third spot.
Boy, Sterling is very impressive. He's got third.
So Mark Martin split the car up in third gear as he went down in turn one.
Mark now
turn 2. Didn't work. That's the trouble with most of this stuff don't work with these guys because they're pros.
Davey Allison continues to lead. We've been green all the way. 21 laps completed. We'll be back with more from Pocono International Raceway. Well, some very peaceful surroundings at Pocono International Raceway. Many, many golf courses and resorts around this area. We're currently looking at Shawnee Golf Course, which is one of 37 in the Pocono Mountains by the Delaware River. This is where Jackie Gleason learned to play golf. And sweet it is. That's right. From that rather tranquil and peaceful setting to the roar of racing engines as we are inside the car now of Jimmy Hensley. And again, that number there, I'm sorry, Bobby Hillen, the Racing for Kids number there, 1-800-800-1865. You can subscribe to Racing for Kids magazine. This is becoming quite popular with children. It teaches them, first of all, how to read, or helps them learn how to read, and it also teaches them about racing and encourages them to stay in school. It's a very neat program, and if you subscribe to the magazine, the donation from each subscription will be made to the Research and Treatment Center for Children with Cancer and Leukemia in Atlanta, Georgia. There's Davey Allison, who continues to lead. Here's Dr. Jerry Punch.
Well, fellas, when you make a lot of horsepower, one of the downsides is you also burn quite a bit of fuel. And no one really guess here in the Allison pit. So what they're thinking about doing is, remember the weather earlier in the week, the fog, the thunder showers, very limited practice. So a lot of the teams did not get an opportunity to do their fuel mileage testing to see how far they could go. And remember, these Robert Yates heads make a lot of horsepower, so they are planning on coming in extra early for their first stop. Just a moment ago, a conversation between Davey Allison and Larry McReynolds. They are planning on making their first pit stop around lap 29 or 30, which may be about 10 laps early. He said, why gamble? We've got a great race car. Let's not run out of fuel here. We can wait late today and be effective.
And that's only about 4 or 5 laps from right now as 25 are complete.
Now, that's a good strategy. You can make a pit stop if you make a good pit stop here, and even change 4 tires and still stay in the lead lap. If you're up there among the leads, so Davey Allison is about 5 seconds ahead of everybody else, so he should be able to do it easy. And then even with precautions you come out, it wouldn't hurt you that much.
Davey hasn't had anyone to race with all day. He was on the pole at the drop of the green flag, jumped out in front, and has been there every lap so far. As Bob said, through lap 26, he's not looked back.
Showed himself about a 5.5 second lead.
He is still running in second. There's the leader. And we'll show you the interval between first and second position. Here, Allen just went through the frame. Here comes Mark Martin and Ricky Rudd, who continue to run nose to tail.
And Sterling Marlin was so fast, he went through our camera shot without even being recognized.
Bobby Hillen involved in a battle with Andy Belmont. This is for the 33rd position.
Andy Belmont trying to make his way into Winston Cup racing. The sponsorship this year from FDP Brakes.
Team Ireland car driven by Bobby Hillen. Number 31, there's Andy Belmont.
Camera looking back at Belmont from Bobby Hillen's car. We see that on the right it says Ireland. The owner of the car is from the country Ireland, isn't he, Bob? That's where it's called Team Ireland.
Right.
He is now. He's a businessman in London, England now, but Martin Bahrain is originally from Ireland.
Big race car.
Wanted to drive.
There's Davey. We're anticipating a pit stop now within the next 2 or 3 laps.
All the way back to there is second place car of Alan Kulwicki. There goes Kulwicki. Sterling Marlin. He is almost caught Alan Kulwicki.
He is gaining.
A couple of car links.
So it looks like that maybe Sterling Marlin and Davey Allison would be about the same speed, Ned. Would you venture that far?
we might speculate and say that. I haven't put a clock on it yet, but Sterling certainly has come up through the pack. Here's Darrell Walter making a move. Darrell had dropped back to about 17th or something, and now he has moved back up, just took over the 9th position. So he got revitalized there. Car might have been pushing a little bit in the early part, and now that the tires are heated up, it's worked in his favor.
Schrader back in 10th.
Richard still hanging in. He's at that 11th spot, 12th.
Greg Sachs right behind him.
And Jeff Bodine has made his way up behind, joined this group. Rusty Wallace, the black and gold number 2. He won this race last year. Remember the rain delay we had here? Rusty Wallace declared the victor.
And that was the last time that a Pontiac has won in Winston Cup competition.
Richard's losing another spot. Greg Sachs on the inside.
And the train might go by him here if he isn't careful. There's 4 cars that want to line up and go around him, taking advantage of it. They shouldn't do that.
Jeff Bodine, Rusty Wallace, and Dale Jarrett.
Greg Sachs moved over quickly and allowed Richard to get a draft off him. I don't know if it's going to be enough or not. Doesn't look like it is.
Bodine's going to get him. Here's Rusty on the inside going into turn 1. Ooh, they touch a little bit.
And Richard just can't get the momentum off that corner up high to race these fellas.
Still anticipating a pit stop by Davey Allison. He's completed 29 laps, so he is at the outside of the envelope that Jerry Punch told us about. And it appears as if, yes, indeed, he is slowing down and entering the pits. For the first time, first scheduled stop, 30 laps complete. Davey Allison makes a pit stop. Here's Jerry Punch.
And remember, last month, it was a miscue, not only a miscue, but the car falling off the jack here in the pits that cost Davey a shot at victory in that Pocono 500 back in June. He ended up finishing in 5th spot, but they missed the left side door. Here's the Haviland Ford coming to a halt. Crew members, 7 only allowed over the wall. They will change all 4 tires. Leave no stone unturned. Fresh rubber all the way around, fresh Goodyear Eagle radials. They will fill it up with fuel. Very deliberate pit work. And believe me, these guys have thought about that pit stop from a month ago, and they want to redeem themselves here at Pocono. Car number 25 also in. Ken Schrader is getting tires. Both on pit road. Davey Allison down and away on the jack. Meanwhile, they have changed right side tires on Schrader's car. They go around the left side. As Allison pulls back to turn 1, left side tires going on the Kodiak Chevrolet of Kenny Schrader as the first of the 2 Hendrick Motorsports cars makes an entry on the pit road here on lap 30.
Rusty Wallace also in. He's out ahead of Schrader. And finally, they get the work done on Ken Schrader's car. That was a little lengthier than the rest.
Yes, it was at the pit stop. Here comes Sterling Marlin in.
And Ken Schrader's going to get lapped by Alan Kowicki if he isn't careful as we watch Sterling Marlin coming down pit road.
Kyle Petty is in, so is Dick Trickle, Greg Sachs. Many making pit stops now.
There we see Kowicki. He is in fact a lap ahead of Schrader, but the new tires ought to make a difference.
Yes, it should. He should be able to run through the corners a little bit faster. He got back into the lead lap. Well, pit road is busy right now. Let's go back to the pits.
Dale Earnhardt in. That's Greg Sachs who's up on the jack. The Kellogg's Cornflakes car. Here comes Sterling Marlin out of the pits. So Davey Allison making his pit stop started a rash of stops.
Sure did. Here comes Kyle Petty, Greg Sachs, Michael Waltrip's Pennzoil Pontiac is getting serviced. Changing left side tires on that car. Earnhardt is down off the jacks. They're still working, however, on the left side of it. Michael pulls out. Hut Strickland also does. Continuing to work on Dale Earnhardt's car at the extreme right side of your screen. Now the work is completed, and he is pulling out very, very slowly.
One problem that these overdrive transmissions create is enough first gear to leave the pits. These fellows are really struggling to get these cars moving. They only have 4 forward gears, so they got to give up something for this overdrive. And what they're giving up is a gear to get them out of the pits.
Jeff Bodine is in this time, so is his brother Brett Bodine, and Derek Coach.
Ernie Irvin has not made a pit stop.
Neither has Alan Kowicki, has he?
Haven't seen him, man.
I believe so. He would be due to come in here before too long.
No, there he goes. He's still on the racetrack.
Rudd is coming in.
Yep. He was running in 3rd place.
Now Irv is coming in. John Kernan will call the stop as Ernie enters pit road.
Tony Glover and the crew waiting. Ernie's arrival. They will change 4 tires, also a full load of fuel. Talking with Tony Glover, while some of the teams had a problem with being loose or tight, said Ernie pretty much has got the car the way he likes it. They will go to work on the right side. Lug nuts coming off on the left side, wiping off the windshield, looking for a pretty good pit stop right here. Remember, these guys also had a chance to win the race last month, but they dropped the valve. Dale Jarrett also in on pit road for a 4-tire change. Left side now going on the Ernie Irvin car. Ernie's work is finished. The work continuing as they swing around. Jack going under the left side of Dale Jarrett's car. Another 4-tire change. Jimmy Maycar and the crew. Dale gunning the engine, gunning the engine. He is down and away.
And again, a lot of activity on pit road as Alan Kowicki, who was leading, relinquishes that spot to make his first pit stop. Jerry, he's headed toward you.
And the scheduled stop for our leader, Alan Kowicki, as Morgan Shepherd has just exited. Meanwhile, Ricky Rudd pitted moments ago for a 4-tire change. And Mark Martin from the Valvoline Ford will come down pit road. Mark Martin inside the in-car coming down. But here's Alan Kowicki, our leader, bringing the Hooters for Thunderbird. It will be a routine 4-tire change. Paul Andrews the crew, Danny Glad. Andrews taking the left side lug nuts off. They have 1 can of fuel in. 7 on the top of your screen. 6 on the bottom. That's Mark Martin as you watch 2 Ford teams now changing tires. Left side tires for Kowicki's car. Meanwhile, they are putting left side tires down on the Valvoline Ford. Kowicki's car is down and away while they are still working on Mark Martin's car, getting the left side lug nuts tight. Martin is off the jack, and he will head back to turn 1.
And Mark Martin's teammate Wally Donovac Jr. also in for a pit stop as Mark pulls back out onto the racetrack and gathers up speed.
I don't believe even Darrell Waltrip has been in the pit. Waltrip usually goes 10 laps further than anyone else.
So we've seen the first series of pit stops completed. 34 laps have been completed out of 200 in the Miller Genuine Draft 500. Well, just about everyone has made their first pit stop except this man, Bill Elliott, the Budweiser Ford. He has not made the pit stop and is leading at the moment. Sports Center activities at 11 o'clock. John Kernan is in Bill Elliott's pit as he comes in and becomes the last to make the first pit stop.
Well, you recall last month that doing this, outrunning the other teams by a few laps on gas mileage, had put Bill Elliott in a position to win that race had they not had a caution light. If it had stayed green, he would not have had to make a final pit stop. But now Bill is also trying to stretch it. Let's just listen into the sounds of a pit stop in action. Bill cuts the engine 23.1 seconds, a little bit slow, and then he killed it as it go out, but they finally did get the car going. Jerry? You know, Bill Elliott qualified with a Robert Yates head engine earlier in the week, but they were so concerned about not getting as good a fuel mileage with all that extra horsepower than the Robert Yates engine, they took it out and put a Jeff Wilson engine in the car, in the Budweiser Ford, because Tim Brewer said we want to get better fuel mileage. We could go maybe 40 more laps if we had to today with our engine in the car. But then this morning, they had a problem with that engine. They had a rocker arm adjustment that wouldn't work, so they had to pull that engine out and go back to the truck. And the only engine they had left in the truck was the engine they had practiced with at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's a 2.5 mile track. They said, hey, it's a 2.5 miles. That's 2.5 miles. It ought to work. That's what they put in the car.
A little bit different configuration, but at least the same length. Bill Elliott, 46 points behind Davey Allison in the quest for the Winston Cup standings, entering the Miller Genuine Draft 500. And there is the leader of the race and the leader of the NASCAR Winston Cup point standings. Once again, today's race includes the Gillette Halfway Challenge contest, $10,000 to the driver leading the halfway lap, and a lucky fan at home could win a new Chevrolet Lumina Z34. If you've entered the contest for this race and your entry is selected and you're called at home, you must name the driver who won the Gillette Halfway Challenge to win the Chevrolet Lumina. Now, if you wonder in the contest for the Budweiser at the Glen on August 9th, write to Gillette Halfway Challenge, Post Office Box 2246, St. Petersburg, Florida, zip code 337312246. You have to be 18 or older to enter, and we must receive your entry by Saturday, August the 8th to be eligible for the Halfway Challenge at the Budweiser at the Glen, August 9th at Watkins Glen, New York.
Guys, what did that boy do? He made a play on the pit stop. For one thing, Kyle Petty is up now in the 4th position. Made a very good pit stop, and that's what has put him up there. Man, Sterling Marlin made an awfully good pit stop too. As you look out,
Riding with Mark Martin, who is in 6th, and in 5th up ahead is Irvin. There he is on the right. In the middle is Kyle Petty, and Kulwicki.
I wonder if he changed 2 or 4 tires.
I don't know. I kind of get the feeling he changed 2, but I don't know.
I don't think he changed 4. I don't know.
I did notice, though, that car was in for a very short time. They did a heck of a job if they put 4 tires on it.
They have made some awfully fast pit stops this year. Sterling Marlin made a very good pit stop as well. He gained on, he was running third when he came in. He's running in second place now, only about 3 seconds behind Davey Allison. Allison is 5 seconds ahead of Alan Kulwicki for the major pit stops.
Here's another Autolite field summary for you. How they were running last time around.
Tell you what, Kyle Petty's got his Pontiac running. He's the first GM car, I think. He's got 3 4s and then Kyle Petty.
Right, yeah.
He really was running. We hadn't paid that much attention to him, but he was running good. He dropped back a little bit there at the beginning of the race, and then he just steadily kicked him off. Went up to past his dad when Richard was running in about 9th place, and drove on off from him and caught Schrader and some of those others that were up there in the 5th, 6th, and 7th spots.
Jerry mentioned a little bit ago the tire test at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I think among many, many other things, that's one of the things I'll remember most is the way Kyle Petty conducted himself. He was like a kid in a candy store with his home VCR, and he was just great.
There's Davey Allison. Our leader still leading.
Ahead of him is the 66 car. Jimmy Hensley, he's running in 31st position.
So that means there's 31 cars on the lead lap.
Yep. And we'll go inside and ride with the Phillips 66 in-car camera.
Coming off the flat corner, flat turn 3, starting down the front straightaway. We see he's in 4th gear. Remember, Martin is in 3rd gear when he comes off that corner. So once again, Hensley not shifted.
One of his crew members at the airport on Thursday when he was coming in here, I asked that question. They said no, he did not plan to shift. The race here in June was the first one at this track for Jimmy Hensley. He had raced on the 3/4-mile track here, but had not run in the Winston Cup race on the 2.5-mile track. And they said that he felt he needed a little more experience on this track because shifting does take a little bit away from your concentration of other things on this racetrack.
We can see there was 300 or 400 RPM difference between the long straightaway and this long pond straightaway, or the shortest, not the shortest straightaway, but the back straightaway. And that's what they're trying to do, is get those numbers even. They want to turn 8,400 down the front, 8,400 down the back.
He was up to about 86 just briefly on the front stretch. You can see well below that on the other straightaways. Now there's the interval between Jimmy and the leader, so that's how much distance there is before Jimmy gets lapped.
Here we see Sterling Marlin, Alan Kulwicki, Kyle Petty. Jerry Punch, you got a comment on Kyle Petty?
Well, Vinny, you wonder why Kyle's in the top 5? You got to give a call to Robin Pemberton in this mellow yellow crew. Kyle came in, changed 4 tires, added 2 cans of fuel in 20 900ths of a second. That's quick, guys.
Well, there's the answer to our question, and my apologies for saying that, or at least thinking that crew couldn't change 4 tires in the amount of time he was in. They did, and they did a great job as Kyle Petty is in 4th position with 43 laps. A record crowd on hand here at Pocono, enjoying a Sunday afternoon of stock car racing. Back at the Miller Genuine Draft 500 from Long Pond, Pennsylvania and Pocono International Raceway. We're on top of Mark Martin's Valvoline Ford. He runs in 6th position. Now we go inside the car, driven by Bobby Killen, who currently finds himself in 32nd position, 1 lap down. And still remaining on the lead lap, although he is the last car on the lead lap, another in-car camera carried by Jimmy Hensley. He's 31st.
190 miles an hour he's going to get up to before he has to stop and go left. Man.
Now we'll show the interval again between Jimmy and the leader of the race, Davey Allison. Got what, about a 4.5 second lead, Ned, on the rest?
Yes, it's moved almost to 5 seconds now. After the pit stop, Sterling Marlin was within about 3 seconds of him, but Davey has pulled away a little bit now, almost 5 seconds.
Except for pit stops, Davey has led all the way so far. We're approaching the 50 lap or 1/4 mark.
David brings that car down the inside. Car looks to be handling beautifully.
Big A Auto Parts on-track interval comparing the laps of Davey Allison, the leader, and Alan Kulwicki, who is in 3rd position. And
Kulwicki's gaining.
Yeah, he is about almost a second and a half.
So he lost laps. Kulwicki must have lost 3 or 4 seconds on the pit stop because he went in the pits about 5 seconds behind Allison and evidently came out about 8 seconds behind him. So now he's back to 5.5. So Kulwicki may be the fastest car on the racetrack right now.
He certainly is moving up on the rear bumper of Sterling Marlin.
Sure is. That's Mike Potter he just went by. Now Sterling Marlin's caught on the outside of that slower car and it's going to give Kulwicki a huge jump on him. Comes Kyle Petty.
Kyle Petty currently running 4th.
Here's Kulwicki on the inside trying to take away the spot. Can he? Did he?
Will he?
Will he?
No. Didn't quite get the job done as Marlin holds on to 2nd.
Who's that red car? Is that?
It's Jimmy Horton in the active racing car.
Now he's going to look to the inside and maybe do it again as they enter the tunnel turn off the Long Pond straightaway. This time Kulwicki is going to pass Sterling Marlin and take over 2nd spot. He did that with authority.
He sure did. He's like a little train. He said, I thought I could. Ooh. Got the car out of shape or something because Sterling thought he was going to have to dodge him. He moved up high against the wall. Sterling seems to be coming off turn 3 as well as Kulwicki.
That time by Davey was about 4 4/10 seconds ahead of Alan Kulwicki. Now that he has moved into 2nd, we'll see if he can continue to close in.
Kyle Petty passing a slower car and now closing in on Sterling.
As far as exit turn 2, going down what's called the Long Pond straightaway. That's the name of the village that the racetrack is located in. Must be a population of about 35.
You won here in 77, didn't you, Benny?
Beat Richard Petty, if I'm not mistaken.
If you hadn't done that, he'd already have 201.
Yeah, Penny. Why'd you do that for?
It's my fault, wasn't it? Sterling is really getting to it, and look, he's on the inside of Kulwicki. Man. Now, who's going to outrun who down the straightaway? Kulwicki pulls in behind, and it looks like he's
content for the moment.
Content for the, well, he's not content, but he doesn't have much choice. It doesn't look like.
Yep. And there is Kyle, who isn't too far behind in 4th. There he is. And then Ernie Irvin.
Ernie's he's still lurking back there. We can't forget him, I don't think. He's definitely in the hunt. Good look at the mellow yellow Pontiac.
There's Ernie in 5th. Winner at Daytona. A couple of weeks ago that we covered for you, the Pepsi 400.
He's 5th place car. And there is the 6th place car. Car number 6 is running 6th.
Mark Martin. Go inside and look at the Ford telemetry once again.
82, 83, 84. 8,400 RPMs, about 190 miles per hour. Right down next to the grass, up on that concrete curbing. Accelerating down the back in 3rd gear, which is 1-to-1. Direct drive from the engine back to the rear end. And again, it's about 8,400 RPM. That's what they're trying to do, is get that number to be the same.
Now, folks, if you have a 4-speed transmission in your car, when you get it in 4th gear, it is one-to-one drive. Now, they've changed the gears on these so that it's different. It's one-to-one on the 3rd gear.
That's explaining it in terms that even I can understand, Ed. And here's Jimmy Hensley once again. The Phillips 66 in-car camera. We'll take a look at that telemetry on him. Now, Davey Allison, the leader, is passing on the left.
Yep, there goes Davey.
And so Jimmy's a lap down.
Still in 31st.
So we can see that 4th gear indicator never leaves. And Davey pulls away. There we see Hensley, about 8,100 RPM. He needs to be turning about 84 if he's to accelerate off this corner the proper way. Also, this flat corner. He only gets up to about 7,600 there. Now then, he's going to have trouble accelerating off this corner with the guys that are shifting, like Davey Allison. Shifting, that's the buzzword.
Shifting at a oval or a triangle or whatever you want to call it. Anyway, Pocono, that's all that needs to be said. There's the interval between 1st and 2nd. There's Davey, and coming back here in 2nd and 3rd, the battle continues between Sterling Marlin and Alan Kowicki, who won here just a few weeks ago. We'll continue with our live coverage after this. Back at Pocono, this is the bumper cam from Jimmy Hensley's car looking back on Davey Allison. Now, what's wrong with this picture? Remember, just before we went to break, Davey had passed Jimmy and put a lap on him. Well, Jimmy has, well, now Hensley slows, and I don't know what happened to Davey, but he slowed there a lap ago.
I didn't see it. I would just speculate that he got the car sideways loose over the tunnel corner and lost 2 or 3 seconds.
We thought maybe he lost a cylinder, but it didn't look like it. How about it, Jerry?
No, it's not a cylinder problem. Davey just commented that apparently one of the slow cars was playing Russian roulette there in turn 3, and he tried to go high and tried to go low, and he nearly got the car out of shape. So your speculation was right. But a minute ago, Davey did talk to his crew members and said, I think we may have lost the rubber in the right rear because the car's getting a little bit tight. Larry McReynolds countered and said, no, if we lost that rubber in the right rear, the car would be very, very tight. So I think we're okay. We'll fix it on the next pit stop.
So everything is okay with Davey then, as he tries to win this race from the pole position and pick up $15,200 in Unocal bonus money. But only 3 races here at this facility have ever been won from the pole.
He lost about half his lead.
Here's Derek Cope, Ken Schrader.
There's Schrader behind Ted Musgrave.
Yeah.
Well, Schrader lost, they saw him lose some extra time in the pits, but he also has been losing some time on the racetrack. The car's just not handling with this set of tires on, and he continues to go back. There's Lake Speed coming into the picture. Good to see Lake here racing again.
The Purex sponsorship, and is in the number 83.
And it's a Ford. First time Lake has run a Ford, maybe ever. I don't know. He might have driven. Well, I know he did. He drove for Cale Yarborough, but that was a Pontiac back then, so I don't know.
Musgrave's coming off that 3rd corner well earlier.
Alongside Derek Cope, the Pure Leader Chevrolet. And looks like he may have that spot. He does have the spot as you go down the front straightaway.
So he goes into 16th. Derek Cope in 17th. Schrader in 18th. And Lake Speed in 19th. Again, we mentioned at Daytona, but Musgrave is among those apparently in line for the Richard Petty seat when Richard gives it up at the end of the year. And Chuck Spicer from STP tells me that the announcement on Richard's replacement could come in the next couple of weeks. So we'll be anxious to find out who's going to be.
There's Lake Speed trying to get on the inside of Schrader. I don't think he makes it. Now, does Schrader know he didn't make it?
Yeah. Lake having a good run. He has Robert Yates' engine in that car, so.
He started 31st, Lake Speed did, and is up to 19th.
What is Purex? Is that a laundry detergent? You see, I don't do laundry. Davey Allison, looks like the car's still running okay, but I tell you what, looks to me like that the 22 and 7 is gaining on Davey. I don't know. We'll have to
Well, I'm sure Davey lost a couple of seconds at least when he slowed there a little bit earlier. And so, yes, they are much closer now than they were before. Yeah, and I'll put my trusty stopwatch on as we cross the start-finish line. And Sterling Marlin, yes, is within 1 6,500 seconds.
So about a second and a half behind Davey Allison. So, woo.
And Kulwicki third in the Winston Cup points, 134 behind. So do you think that you have to have this race this weekend to close on Davey and Bill first and second in points?
Not necessarily. I think everybody says we got to do good now. I mean, right now we got to pick up points. Well, I've been through championship battles at smaller levels of racing, and before it's all over, everybody's going to have 2 or 3 problems the remainder of this year, I think. So it doesn't have to be this week, and I think you just put undue pressure on yourself trying to do that. I think you just got to be consistent and, you know, just be there at the end of the season.
Did you notice behind Allen on that comment how foggy it was? That was shot on Friday, and I'm telling you, the visibility was just a little more than 0.
Zipperoo.
Fellas, we're going to have pit stops coming up again here very shortly. We're on lap 60, and Davey Allison pitted on lap 30 before, so he's already gone as much this time as he did before. How about it, Jerry? Will he be able to go farther this time? Or?
Well, by calculations, they told me they would pit on lap 64, but calculations sometimes don't mean a thing when you look down and see that fuel pressure gauge fluctuating, as Davey Allison did last time by in turn 1. And Robert Yates told me, he said, subsequently, we're going to bring him in next time by. So they are on the wall with tires and the air hoses getting ready to bring our leader into Haviland Ford down pit road.
Well, he's currently coming off turn number 2, the tunnel turn, and headed down the back stretch, 1,780 feet long, passing the number 27 car driven by Bob Schacht.
That's the Lenro car, a local guy.
Now he's in the third turn, and he is slowing, braking, and headed for pit road. Indeed, Davey Allison, the leader, coming in on lap number 61. Jerry, he's a long way from you. Speed limit being observed here on pit road, but he's headed your way.
At 70 miles an hour, that's all they're going to be allowed to have here, as they are watching and waiting for this pit stop here in the Haviland crew. Crew members now waiting. They're allowed to go over the wall and 1 pit away. It'll be a 4-tire change. They have to make very sure they get it full of fuel. And they are watching now. Robert Yates watching very closely to make sure the team gets the car entirely full of fuel. Right side tires are on. Jacking very deliberately the left side. Remember that miscue back a month ago. Left side tires going on. Lug nuts being tight. Getting ready to drop the jack. Drop the jack. Here he put it in gear and pull away.
Hear that engine rev up? That's what I was talking about by the problem. Look at there. Bob Schacht has a problem. He's down on the inside. I don't know if that's going to...
Well, he's pulled it off the track. I don't know how far you can get off there. Here's Sterling Marlin coming into the pits. Bob Schacht, I don't believe he's going to be able to get back around, fellas. It looks like he's back up on the inside of the racetrack now as Sterling Marlin comes in.
Right behind him is Kyle Petty making a pit stop, giving him 4th position.
Lake Speed is in. Mark Martin is coming down pit road. So is Brett Woodine.
Lake Speed is being held by NASCAR for some penalty. I guess going too fast on pit road because...
Now let's watch this 42 crew that did such a great job last time. They're moving rather sharply this time also.
Now that little extra time on the right rear there didn't hurt him because he had another man that's going to take care of the left rear on the other side. Boy, that was a good pit stop.
You see his tire.
Jerry, where are you?
Watching Mark Martin's crew do an excellent job. Steve Mills is putting the left side touches on as they change 4 tires in less than 21 and a half seconds. A great stop for the Valvoline crew. They made a major chassis adjustment in the right rear as well.
Mark Martin pulling out. The only car remaining on pit road at the moment is Brett Bodine. And there is obviously some kind of a problem with him now. He pulls out. As Mark Martin builds up momentum.
Fellas, I lost the 27 car, Bob Schacht. Don't know what happened to him, but he was going very slowly before we started those pit stops, and don't think he made it around to the pits, but maybe he got off the track over there somewhere.
Yeah, maybe pulled off into the grass and is out of harm's way, so there will be no caution.
There's our leader, Alan Kulwicki, the Hooters Ford. This is Tunnel Corner. He went, what, 4 or 5 laps more than Davey Allison the last time? So he should be able to go again 4 or 5 more laps. There's Schrader coming in the pits. Earnhardt's sitting back in the pits.
Michael Waltrip pulling in.
I was wrong. That was not Earnhardt. That was Bobby Hill's car.
Right side rubber going on the Kodiak Chevy driven by Ken Schrader. Maybe 6 or 7 laps before we see a pit stop by Alan Kulwicki. He leads this NASCAR Winston Cup race from Pocono International Raceway. We are back at Pocono International Raceway, and Ernie Irvin comes in for a pit stop. Here's John Kernan.
Perfect timing for us, Bob Jenkins. The crew goes to work. It will be another 4-tire change. We're not anticipating any chassis adjustment. Once again, Ernie has told Tony Glover, his crew chief, the car is pretty much the way he likes it. They're riding around, saving themselves, and hoping, well, no, they do make a chassis adjustment on that left side. So a last-minute change strategy right there. Trying to get the car perfect and hang around. A good pit stop, 19.7 seconds for the Kodak crew.
Whoa, man.
That was great, wasn't it?
That'll gain you some space on the racetrack.
But all these guys are having so much trouble getting out of the pits. Jimmy Engine almost die as they try to leave the pits. That they're somewhere in the lead. There he is, right in the middle of all those cars. Hutch Strickland, Jeff Bodine, then Alan Kulwicki, the leaders, Dick Trickle, Harry Gant, Rusty Wallace.
Now those cars behind him made pit stops again, so they're a lap down. Of course, when Kulwicki comes into the pits, that'll work out. Now there's Trickle with fresh tires on. Look at him just go by. See the difference in the fresh tires. So he doesn't care if the caution comes out now. Neither does Harry Gant, because he's back in the lead lap. Rusty Wallace has made a pit stop as well, so he'd like to get around Allen just in case the caution should come out.
And I'm sure he'll be able to do it as he comes off this corner. Here comes Dale Jarrett down the pits. And John Kernan, you're on pit road, aren't you?
You got it, Benny. Where else would I be? Standing down here with Jimmy Maycar and the gang is wait, Dale coming in. You know, he wears a different NFL team's helmet every week. The colors, I should say. He's got the Philadelphia Eagles today in honor of the team that's from not too far from here. It will be a 4-tire change. They're going to work on the right side. Left side was already off on the front. Now they're off on the rear tire. Jack comes around, they swing it, put it underneath. Poetry in motion. They make a chassis adjustment on both sides of the rear end. That's something that you don't see very often. He is full of fuel, and he is down and away, and Alan Kulwicki is in.
Exactly, John. The Hooters Ford Thunderbird comes in here as we are getting ready to post lap number 68. So Kulwicki will get a 4-tire change, but the big differential here is now 8 laps between Kulwicki's pit stop and that of Davey Allison, who had to come in due to fluctuating fuel pressure. Left side tires now going on the Hooters Ford Thunderbird. Kulwicki, a strong run in the early laps here, having won a month ago with this same race car. Great pit stop, 20.8 seconds. A great stop for the Hooters crew.
Yes, indeed, Alan Kulwicki moving back out on the racetrack, but a great pit stop.
Fellas, when this all settles out after their pit stops, Davey Allison is going to be way ahead of Alan Kulwicki, much farther ahead than he was, because Alan, since Davey has on new tires, since he came back out, has been running a lot faster, and it's going to make a great deal of difference out on the racetrack.
And I think Alan's stayed out, what, at least 5, maybe 6 laps longer than Davey, so he had that amount of time to pull ahead. And there is the leader, Davey Allison, as he approaches the car driven by Wally Dallenbach Jr. and attempts to put him a lap down.
I would think that Bill Elliott's still leading this race.
Well, he probably is.
I don't think that
Okay.
I don't know. Of course, Bill was about 2/3 of a lap down before these pit stops started.
It could be. It could be that they've passed Bill Elliott. He, in fact, is not leading.
Yeah, he hasn't pitted. The cars who have pitted, the front runners, are ahead of him because he was so far behind before they started making their pit stops. In fact, he would be lucky staying out there this long to make a pit stop and come back out in the lead lap.
Wow. Shown in 7th position, Bill Elliott is, and you saw Davey put a lap on Wally Dallenbach Jr., who was in 27th. 26 cars at the moment on the lead lap.
And Dallenbach has gotten back
Yeah,
in
he
front of
has.
Davey.
Yep.
Into turn 3. Dallenbach comes off the corner.
And so Davey Allison continues to lead this race. And again, except for pit stops, he has dominated this event. We are live from Pocono, and we'll have more. More live coverage after this. "71 laps completed out of 200 in the Miller Genuine Draft 500 NASCAR Winston Cup race. There you can see that Davey Allison has pulled to the inside here on the main straightaway and again attempts to put a lap on Wally Dallenbach Jr. And just ahead of Wally is Dale Earnhardt, and he's in 26th position and threatening to go a lap down. Well, the Pocono International Raceway, it seems, always brings out the stars, and among them, Jerry Punch.
I wish, Bob. Thank you very much. But actually, the man I'm standing with, he's no introduction, Ted Lang. We all know him as Isaac, the bartender on the Love Boat. And Ted, welcome to NASCAR Racing. Good to have you here.
Well, thank you very much. It's good to be here. This is my first race, and I'm in town because I'm doing a thing called Driving Miss Daisy over the Pocono Playhouse. And I go to Falmouth next. Falmouth, Massachusetts, the same place. So I'm getting a day off here, so I get a chance to come out and see what's happening.
Now, you're getting serious. You have the Goodrich shirt on here in the Earnhardt pit. I know you're not allowed to mix drinks here, so what do they have you doing?
Well, I'm supposed to be serving him his drinks when he pulls up, but he's been a little bit too busy for me to actually give him something. So I'm going to wait till the next go-round. When he makes his next pit stop, I'm going to give him a little something stronger than water.
Ah, maybe some Gatorade a la Ted Lang here in the Earnhardt pits, guys.
All right, good to see Ted enjoying some Winston Cup racing. Boy, how many of us grew up watching the Love Boat? Here's Ernie Irvin, and looks like he may have slowed a little bit.
I believe he is slowing. Alan Quick goes by on the outside. John Kernan, you know anything on that?
Yeah, I just talked to the crew. They say it's the same thing. They hit him last month. A valve spring is broken, so he's only running on 7 cylinders right now. Very dejected down here for these guys. As you might imagine, they had expected to come up here and win this race today, but it doesn't look like they're going to get that opportunity now.
Yep, you will notice that Ernie was in 5th position when we assembled our Autolite Field summary. However, of course, that was last lap, and he has lost several positions in the lap that he is currently on. Two-time winner in the '92 season, Ernie Irvin, at Sears Point International on the road course and in Daytona. And Davey Allison tries to put a lap on Earnhardt.
Trying his best, but Earnhardt trying his best to stay in front of Davey Allison, because if the caution should come out, he's able to make up that entire 2.5-mile distance.
The fellow's Bill Elliott is finally making his pit stop.
74 laps have been completed, and Bill is in. As we watch the action on the racetrack, there's Bill. Tim Brewer and the crew going to work on the right side of the car. They'll just change 2 tires and send Bill off. And here is Allison moving to the inside of Dale and putting a lap on him. Uh-oh, look out.
Oh, man, oh, man.
Wow. That's coming close to crashing.
Dale trying to keep off the back of Davey Allison's car, almost crashed himself. We saw Dallenbach able to get by. And look, here comes the 22 car and the 42. They're about to run Davey down, looks like, Nick.
Yes, they are. They are definitely gaining. Just gradually pulling up on him. Now, Bill Elliott, as a result of only changing 2 tires, fellas, is going to be able to, as we watch this, he's going to be able to stay in the lead lap. You see Earnhardt come up there and barely touch him. Don't take much when you're in the corner.
Oh, he had her sideways, didn't he?
He sure did. Here's Davey on the inside, going in this flat corner. And Earnhardt knows he needs to get back down to the inside. He comes back down. He wants to follow Davey, but he goes up and gets almost sideways and just touches Davey a little bit, but he almost crashed himself trying to keep from spinning Davey.
Yep.
Davey Allison goes forward. He's on the start-finish line. Getting close to that halfway point, right, Bob?
Yeah, we're what? 76, 24 laps away? How about that? Really doing a little better. And we are getting closer to the halfway mark. If you've entered the Gillette Halfway Challenge and you're called at home and you can name the driver who wins the Gillette Halfway Challenge Award, you will win a new Chevrolet Boot. Now, if you want to enter the contest for the Budweiser at the Glen on August the 9th, that's our next telecast. All you have to do is write to the Gillette Halfway Challenge, Post Office Box 2246, St. Petersburg, Florida, zip code 33731-2246. You have to be 18 or older to enter, and we must have your entry by Saturday, August the 8th, the day before the race, to be eligible for that Budweiser at the Glen Gillette Halfway Challenge.
Ernie Irvin has pulled his car off the racetrack on the backstretch. In fact, his crew is taking all of his pit equipment to the garage area.
Inside of Bobby Hillen's car, just ahead of him is Terry Labonte. We haven't heard much from him. He's running in 20th position. He started 41st, last on the field because of his engine problem during the only qualifying session.
Well, in the first half of the race, if he can gain 20 spots, if he can do as well the next half, he'll go from 41st to first.
He is on the lead lap. There are 24 cars that are on the lead lap.
The next one, the last one on the lead lap, is Richard Petty.
And Darrell Waltrip and Greg Sachs are in a bit of a battle for 13th spot. Darrell moves inside at the end of the front stretch and takes the position.
They've been running pretty close together almost all day. Greg having a good run here in the Kellogg Cornflake Chevrolet. Belongs to Larry Hendrick of Statesville, North Carolina.
Darrell Waltrip in his inimitable style, always it seems laying back and then charging at the end, has entered victory lane 3 times here at Pocono in the past. He won in 1978, this race in 1981, and the June race in 1991. 3-time winner, Darrell Waltrip.
Tell you what, if Darrell Waltrip's going to win today, he's going to have to have some caution flags because he's about a half straightaway behind the leader, Davey Allison. It might be even more than that behind Davey Allison. And he's going to be unable to make that much up without the aid of a caution flag.
And speaking of Davey, there he is. He is the leader of this race with now 78 laps completed. We're glad you could join us on this Sunday afternoon. NASCAR Winston Cup Racing. We'll be right back. A lot of people get away from the city and visit the area of the Poconos during the weekend. This is Lake Harmony, one of the many lakes around the area where there's a lot of boating and other recreational activities for you to enjoy. We're enjoying NASCAR Winston Cup Racing from Long Pond, Pennsylvania, the Miller Genuine Draft 500. And we are nearing the halfway point in 20 more laps. We'll be there. 80 are complete. Davey Allison leads. We'd like to pass along a special get well message to Roger Christman, who is a Pocono Raceway Ambassador Coordinator. He's in the hospital. He's unable to be with us today, but we know he's watching and we wish him well in his recovery. The ambassadors are a group of local professionals who donate their time and their efforts to serve as liaisons with Pocono Raceway sponsors. So, Roger, get well soon. We're thinking of you.
Then I wonder if the fact there's been no caution flags, Davey Allison was sick this week. Did he need a couple of caution flags to get through the day, or do you think physically he'll be able to run green flag all day?
I believe he'll be able to run. He told Jerry Punch that he was feeling good and felt like that his problems were behind him, and the car is handling so well. He's not had to fight too much out there. Even a couple of lap cars he's had a little bit of trouble with, but that should make it easier for him. Certainly a caution would have helped.
Yeah, that's right. I just wonder if it's pretty warm out there, and if it's one of the problems he had this week. He spent, what, 2 nights in the hospital down in Charlotte?
Yep, that's right.
Jerry Punch, what do you think? Is this hot weather going to pose a problem for Davey?
I wouldn't think so, guys. You know, he has been very ill for about 2 weeks. In fact, the illness actually began the morning of the Pepsi 400 in Daytona. He had a severe headache, and the headache just got worse and worse. Went back to the hotel after the race and just didn't have any appetite, couldn't keep anything down, didn't want to take a lot of fluids. He's been fighting a severe headache for a couple of weeks. He finally was hospitalized on Thursday. He spent the better part of 2 days in the hospital in Charlotte after Jerry and they did a bunch of tests. Davey was concerned, as you heard him say at the top of the show, that maybe when he took that lick at the Winston in Charlotte, maybe he had a smoldering problem, maybe a head injury a la Buddy Baker of a few years ago. Remember, Buddy Baker had the problem that we were diagnosed at Watkins Glen. But everything what it came as far as the scans were concerned is there apparently was a viral illness, even some concern that maybe it was Lyme disease or maybe even Rocky Mountain spotted fever. But anyway, Davey should be okay here today.
Well, I think you might call this a dream season for Davey Allison, huh? Started off the year with a win in the Daytona 500, has recorded 4 wins, 10 top 5s. He's led the points all season. He's led more laps than anyone else this year and has led in 12 of the 15 races. So Davey is definitely experiencing a dream season, hoping that he can become the first driver in history to lead the points from beginning to end.
That's a fantastic number. He has led 23% of all the laps so far this year.
Well, a couple of senior citizens here strolling through the Poconos on a Sunday afternoon. Dick Trickle, 9th position, and Harry Kent in 10th.
They're just motoring right along. Both of them. Trickle started in the 20th position. Harry Gant started back in 22nd position. So they've definitely improved their position in the field.
You see that Alan Kulwicki has caught Kyle Petty past him, and that's for the 3rd spot.
Davey is the leader, Sterling Martin the 2nd, then comes Alan and Kyle.
Well, Kulwicki, as we documented when he stayed out there, lost some time and was probably 6 or 7 seconds behind the leaders when he came back out, but he has continuously caught back up to them now. Of course, his tires are a little bit fresher than Kyle's and a little bit fresher than Sterling Marlin and Davey Allison, so that might help him continue to go on towards the front.
Has there ever been a race at Pocono without a caution? No. The record is 1. That was set in 1978, this race, and Darrell Walter was the winner of that event and set the race record. We have had no cautions so far. Well, they're discussing what about Davey Allison's next pit stop.
What they're trying to do now is figure out how many laps to go till the end of the race and when they need to stop to, you know, to eliminate one pit stop.
Jerry, you down there?
Yeah, we're here, Bob. That's exactly what they're doing, Manny. If people don't realize, they don't look at when they pitted last. What they do, they take the end of the race, it's lap 200, and they back it in. How many laps they can go and how many stops and what their window is. Because here in the pits, their concern is that they're going to probably give up the halfway maybe at lap 100, but Terry McReynolds said, hey, we want to lead lap 200 and win this thing here, and took up win number 5 for the 1992 season. We are at lap 85, just 15 laps away from the halfway point, and Davey Allison continues to dominate here at Pocono, Pennsylvania. Back to Nick.
13 laps away from the halfway point of the Miller Genuine Draft 500 NASCAR Winston Cup race from Long Pond, Pennsylvania and Pocono International Raceway. There's Davey Allison, who is continuing to lead this Miller Genuine Draft 500. Jerry, we talked about pit strategy. What else have you learned?
Well, Davey Allison pitted on lap 30, then again on lap 60. But by calculations, he should be able to go at least 34 laps to make his next pit stop around lap 94. However, when they put fuel in the car, it only takes 19 gallons of the 22-gallon tank. So they told Davey, probably the next couple of 3 laps, you see that fuel light flicker once again. Don't worry about the calculation. Just hightail it for pit road.
Well, that's a good suggestion.
See, Michael Waltrip, the Pennzoil Pontiac, has been lapped by Davey Allison. He's in what position?
20 seconds, so now there are only 21 cars. Lake Speed is the next car, and not too far in front of Lake Speed is Bill Elliott. Elliott is not far from being lapped down.
Just before we went to commercial break, we saw Davey Allison also put a lap on Richard Petty, who is 23rd. Here's the Napa field summary. Watch for your favorite driver and see where he was running last lap.
Sexton, 15th, was just passed by both Ken Schrader and Dale Jarrett.
There you see what Ned just mentioned, Bill Elliott being in 20th position. Michael, Richard, Dallenbach, Earnhardt, all have fallen a lap down.
Schrader and Jarrett down in turn 1.
This is 15th and 16th.
Now heading up the Long Pond straightaway.
Lake Speed has taken his Purex car behind the wall. We just barely caught him going behind the wall into the garage area.
I saw him coming down pit road. Thought he was making a routine stop because he stopped earlier last time, but
have a report, Benny, that the engine, something happened with it, so it's too bad. Back there with the Purix sponsorship and hoping to run a good many more races this year.
Well, I'm sure that Robert Yates didn't want to see that because that was his engine. So no one will tell him about it.
And also in the garage area, pulled in a little while ago, was Jerry O'Neill from Auburn, New York, in car number 65, the Aeroneck racing car.
Once again, we're watching this battle for 15th. Ken Schrader and Kyle Petty. I mean, Dale Jarrett.
Well, it's about the same color as Kyle Petty's car.
Schrader? I talked to him. He said that the Pepsi 400 was no problem at all after the neck surgery. He said no problem at all. That Doc Petty and those people did a great job. And most of his pain is gone that he had in his arms and shoulders.
He's a tough customer.
Oh, yeah.
I know Dr. Petty did a great job, but normally an operation of that sort, you'd be laid up for a while. Not these race drivers.
Let's see, Hutch Strickland, Rick Mast, Brett Bodine, and Ted Musgrave.
Musgrave continually coming on up through the field, fellas. They're 13th and 14th. Brett Bodine is dropping back a little bit, while Ted Musgrave is moving up a little bit in the Jasper car.
Two Fords together. The green one is Brett Bodine.
A couple of more pit stops being made here. Sterling Marlin coming in along with Kyle Petty. So 2 of the top 5 are in for pit stops. John.
Mike Beam just walked by. He said, doggone it. Sterling coming in. They were anticipating coming in about 3 laps, but the fuel light must have flickered. Sterling cuts in on the pit road, as does Kyle Petty. It will be a 4-tire change. They've already got the right sides on. Mike Beam, the crew chief, standing on the pit wall, looking over, directing it on his radio. Left side's going on. You hear the whining of the air wrenches, and Sterling is down and away. Kills it momentarily. He hasn't refired it. The crew has to run out and push the car. They're pushing it down pit road, trying to get it refired. A bad break for Sterling Marlin.
Kyle Petty pulls away, and they're still pushing. I believe he has it fired now, does he?
Yeah, it looks like it's moving.
Again, once again, that's a tough getting rid of first gear.
Now he's going to go a lap down. Davey Allison going into turn 1 as Sterling tries to get his feet up. He's going to be a lap down.
But Earnhardt has blown up. He came by here the last time then and slowed down. He's going in the pits this time. Well, I'd say he's blown up. He slowed dramatically like he had lost a cylinder. And he's heading for the pits.
Mark Martin is in the pits as well. Bobby Hill.
Defending Winston Cup champion comes in. Here's Mark Martin's pit stop. Jerry.
It'll be a routine 4-tire stop for Mark Martin as Dale Earnhardt brings a Goodwin Chevrolet down. Martin getting service from the right side, now the left side of the car. Earnhardt's car seems to be running okay. They make no effort to look under the hood of that machine. They will change 4 tires. Looks to be pretty routine for the 5-time Winston Cup champion. Martin's car off the jack and away. Earnhardt's crew now putting left side tires on his car. And the car number 26 also in right side tires for the Brett Bodine and the Quaker State team. Earnhardt's still there, left side looking beneath the car. Now the car killed it. He refires it. The car sputters a little bit, puts it back in gear, and begins to pull away. The Kodiak crew working for Kenny Schrader, likewise further up pit road. They're completing service on the Brett Bodine car. And Brett Bodine leaving as it goes down pit road. A little bit of smoke on Brett Bodine's car, but they are waiting here in the Davey Allison pit. He has already run 34 laps, so he should be coming in any time now.
And all this is very interesting because it's occurring right here at the halfway point. And so who's going to win the $10,000?
Alan Kowicki.
Whoever pits last, which probably will be Kowicki. John?
Got an update for you on Sterling Marlin. Mike Beam just came by. He says now we've broken a rocker arm. They're running on only 7 cylinders. So more bad luck for Sterling Marlin. Jerry? Getting set for Davey Allison's pit stop. Davey making an entry on the pit road. Remember, 70 miles an hour, and the crew, every time before a pit stop, they huddle together to make sure everything is done very, very deliberately. No miscues. They know they probably have them covered. They may have, if not, the best car in the field, one of the best 2 cars in the field today, as the Texaco Havoline Ford Thunderbird roars to a halt. Again, Davey, he waves off a cool drink, so he's got to be feeling pretty good. They're taking the right side and left side lug nuts off. Just 6 laps shy of the halfway point here in the Miller Genuine Draft 500. You hear Davey revving the engine. The crew reminded him a couple of cars have already stalled on pit road. They don't want that to happen to them, and it cost them a shot at victory. Left side tires going on. Pulled the jack. He revs it. 22 seconds left, and he is away.
Boy, he made sure he had the revs up before he let the clutch out. Huh?
Tell you what, I don't know how that little clutch is standing all that RPM. You see Ricky Rudd in the pits making a chassis adjustment. Also changed the chassis on Davey Allison's car a little bit that time. That pushing problem that Larry McReynolds was talking about earlier, they tried to correct it with an adjustment that last pit stop.
Alan Kulwicki is the leader of the race, and we are 4 now from the halfway point. We're going to get in a quick commercial break here and come back and see who wins the Gillette Halfway Challenge. You're looking out the back glass of the car driven by Bobby Hillen, and looking back on Dale Jarrett, who currently is running in 7th position.
And Jarrett has not made a pit stop yet. Now, Bobby Hillen did make a pit stop a few laps ago.
Now less than 2 laps away from the halfway point. There is Mark Martin. And the roof cam on the Valvoline Ford.
Jimmy Horton, the red car, direct in front of Mark Martin. Active racing.
1 more lap to go before we reach the halfway point, I believe. Yeah, 99 laps are completed. Alan Kulwicki is the leader right now, so next time around he will collect $10,000 if he leads lap number 100. There's Alan. Off of corner number 1 onto Long Pond straightaway. Jerry told you a few minutes ago that Sterling Marlin, or John did, that the rocker arm was broken on the 22 car, and Sterling Marlin is continuing to run at a reduced pace out there on the racetrack.
Here comes Kulwicki.
Turn number 3, passing under the starter stand, and cross flags displayed by Doyle Ford indicating 100 laps have been completed, and the leader of the halfway lap is Alan Kulwicki. He takes home the $10,000 Gillette Halfway Challenge Award. Now, if you have entered the contest for today's event, and you are called at home in the next few minutes, and you tell them that Alan Kulwicki won the Gillette Halfway Challenge, you will win a Chevrolet Z34. Don't get on the phone right now. I'm busy, because they could be calling you. And now, as you indicated, yeah, they do think more seriously now about the pit stop, because he's picked up the $10,000, and now he'll be thinking about coming in. He's waving. There is the 21 car. John, that's Morgan Shepherd, of course.
And Bobby was posted second on the scoreboard. There's a 4-tire change. Right's already on, left's going on. By waiting till lap 100, what they have done, they only need 3 more pit stops. Some of the other guys who've already pitted needed 3 plus a splash. Also, Alan Kulwicki should be coming down soon, and Jerry Punch is there. Well, Alan Kulwicki now $10,000 richer by virtue of the Gillette Halfway Challenge Award winner by leading at the halfway point. Currently 3rd in the Winston Cup point standing is Hooters Ford Thunderbird coming down pit road, and the crew's campers across the wall. We would expect to see a routine 4-tire change. Of course, sometimes pit stops aren't routine, as we have seen last month at Pocono. The least little miscue could cost you a shot at victory. Right side tires going on. Seems to be going flawlessly. The crew members come around to the left side. Jack beneath the left side of the car. Left side tires are already off. Fresh gear rubber going on. 42 and 28, Kyle Petty. As Alan Kulwicki heads to turn 1, they are door to door headed into turn 1.
Yep, this is the battle for the lead, and Davey Allison takes it away from Kyle Petty as Derek Cope and Alan Kulwicki come out.
Kyle Petty had another fantastic pit stop.
He sure did. John Kernan, I think he went to the Bob Jenkins School of Math. He said these guys need 3 more pit stops. John, you only need 2 more pit stops.
Hey, Benny. What? Jenkins gave me his calculator, that the solar-powered one that the fans sent him a couple of years ago.
The battery ran down the fog, right, John?
Yeah, it's been so cloudy this weekend that the thing didn't get a charge.
Okay, bud.
Thanks, John. It's nice to know I have company in this subtraction. First and second, Davey Allison, Kyle Petty now at the 202 lap mark. We're at Pocono International International Raceway for the Miller Genuine Draft 500. Richard Petty is in 22nd position as we come back to our live coverage of the Miller Genuine Draft 500. He is one lap down to the leader. How about his record here at Pocono? Well, 29 starts, 2 wins. His last was in June of '76. He has 8 top 5 finishes, and his last top 5 was in June of '83. Didn't take him long to win a race after his association with STP. Here's Dr. Jerry Punch.
Just days after signing STP sponsorship to his car, Richard Petty would put their name in victory lane. The King would win on the road course at Riverside, despite Mother Nature.
We got real lucky. You know, we just signed with STP, and it was real foggy that day, and you know, they didn't get to run the whole race, but we could see down one of the straightaways, so everybody decided to run. They didn't want to come back, and we got real fortunate and won the race. And you know, in doing that, we got off to a real good start with Andy and with STP, and got off to a real good start in the year too.
Richard Petty in his final race here at Pocono International Raceway. Jerry?
And Bob, for the fans who were wondering, Ray Pinion, the new president of STP Automotive Division of First Brands Corporation, is here in attendance today. And he told me before the race that STP plans on trying to continue their relationship with Richard Petty next year, although Richard will not be driving the car. He said, in fact, all we need to do is sit down and negotiate. Depending upon who Richard puts in the car, we may have to give a little more money up front, because for the first time ever, Richard will be paying a driver, which he's never had to do in the past. But he said STP plans to be with the King for years to come.
And that's good news. It's good to see STP continuing to be involved in NASCAR Winston Cup racing.
Travis Kowicki just took over the 3rd spot for Mark Martin down the front straightaway.
Davey is the leader, Kyle Petty second, then comes Kowicki and Mark Martin.
Morgan Shepherd is 5th, Ricky Rudd 6th, Jeff Bodine 7th, Bill Elliott still to make a pit stop. He's back up to 8th now. Dick Trickle is 9th, and Harry Kent is 10th.
Here's Ted Musgrave on the inside of Brett Bodine. That's for what? 14th spot.
Yep.
Jasper engine car and the Quaker State car.
Musgrave into 14th position.
Would you call that Musgrave? Would you call whoever takes over Richard Petty's ride the heir to the throne?
Well, you might, and I'll bet that Ted Musgrave is doing all he can to be impressive and to be a top candidate for that ride.
The guy has been impressive. I don't think he has to do anything else, because the first half of the year has been incredibly impressive.
Ted has had a great season. He is 19th in the point standings. His best finishes, he's recorded 3 8th-place finishes. Start off the season at Daytona, then Charlotte, then at Michigan, but he has been competitive and very, very good at every racetrack.
He says Buddy Perry has helped him a lot since they came on that team.
Right behind Ted is Brett Bodine, the Quaker State Ford.
The thing that Musgrave does for the team, that he doesn't tear anything up. You very seldom see the guy crashed or something like that. He seems to have a great feel for a car. When he has a problem, he goes to the pits and fixes it. Just very seldom see a torn up race car, so that helps the crew all week. All they've got to do is maintenance work rather than try to fix crashes.
And he knows a lot about a race car too, because he built and worked on his own cars for years.
Well, it's about 2 o'clock Eastern time, and if you're just joining us, here's what's happened in the Western Auto Race recap. Davey Allison is the leader and has led 85 of the 105 circuits. We have been green all the way. 19 cars are on the lead lap. We've had 5 leaders and 9 lead changes, and the average speed is a record 151.6 miles an hour. Those drivers that have led include, of course, Allison, also Alan Kowicki, Harry Gant, Bill Elliott, and Sterling Marlin. Those cars that are out of the race include James Hilton, also Jimmy Means, Bob Shack, Ernie Irvin, Jerry O'Neill, and Lake Speed. Also the 85 car of Mike Skinner is out of the race. In the Mechanic of the Year standings, Tim Brewer is on top over Tony Glover, Larry McReynolds, Donnie Richardson, and Steve Meal. Those are the top 5 in the battle for the Mechanic of the Year award presented by Western Auto.
We see Kerry Labonte, the Sunoco Chevrolet, going a lap down, almost going a lap down.
He's in 19th position.
That's an Oldsmobile or Chevrolet?
Chevrolet to me.
These guys that have all these kind of race cars, I can never figure out which car they have. It's like a Chevrolet. You're right, Bob. Maybe pulls on the inside down the front straightaway. Is it?
Yeah.
Well, we want to give the right people the credit.
They all got it. And everybody before, and he has run forward.
Yeah, that's right.
Probably will next week at Talladega.
So the Oldsmobile of Terry Labonte goes a lap down. 18 cars now on the lead lap.
This is Jimmy Hensley looking out the back of Hensley's car. He must have got back in the lead lap.
He has. But now he isn't. Now there's 17 on the lead lap.
Yeah, he hasn't made that pit stop. He and Bill Elliott haven't stopped yet.
Oh, they're still
long. In fact, they should. If this thing goes green the rest of the way, there's two cars that definitely should be able to make one less pit stop than everybody else.
Napa field summary.
Incorrect in saying that Earnhardt had a problem. He slowed down the straightaway and a couple of cars went by him. So evidently he ran out of fuel coming off this flat corner or something like that, because he did slow dramatically. I thought he might have lost a cylinder, but I was incorrect.
Davey Allison continues to lead, but there's a real question at this point as to whether things are going to work out because of his fuel mileage. Jerry, what else have you learned?
Well, that's exactly right, Bob. In fact, Ned hit it square on the head a minute ago. Ned was saying that Davey may need 3 fuel stops. Indeed, he will need 3 pit stops, whereas most of the others up there will need only 2. So what they are going to try to do here is ask Davey to conserve fuel. As strong as he is, he just needs to be able to stay out of traffic, stay out of trouble, and, of course, be up front and try to conserve some fuel. Meanwhile, someone who's not wanting to worry about fuel right now is on pit road. That's the Budweiser Ford of Bill Elliott. You got to wonder if this is going to help or hurt Bill Elliott as he is making a pit stop. They have already changed right side tires. Now the Budweiser crews captain are on the left side of that car. So he is in on lap 112. He will need at least one more. He'll need 2 more stops.
And Jimmy Hensley finally came in too. So Bill Elliott getting awfully good gas mileage. He and Jimmy Hensley both getting very good gas mileage here today.
Well, everybody else came in before the halfway mark. It's lap 112 now, and Elliott and Hensley just now making their stops. Hensley takes the Crop Arctic Phillips 66 car out of the pits, and Bill Elliott is also away. We'll be right back. Back at Pocono, where Davey Allison continues to lead the Miller Genuine Draft 500. Kyle Petty running second, and Alan Kowicki is in third position. Well, you know, last year when we had Buffet Benny, he ended up with a pie in the face here at Pocono International Raceway. We aren't doing Buffet Benny anymore. We're doing Benny's World. And I wonder what in the world Benny's World found here at Pocono this year. Let's find out, huh?
So, Joe, how's it going? It's going real good, Benny, but there's something I've been meaning to tell you. We've got to change your image. I mean, a Winston Cup former star, one thing, but now you're a TV celebrity. You got to look the part, and you need a little work. Oh. And I got something here that's going to take care of it, Benny. Trust me.
Hey, I'm ready.
All right, come on, let me check.
Okay.
Benny, this is going to take a lot of work and constant attention, so I got your Winnebago motorhome to follow you anywhere you want to go, and Corinne, your own personal stylist.
Oh my God, it's Benny Parsons.
Well, hi.
Hi, welcome. What can I do for you?
Make me look like that.
Like that?
Yes. What do you think?
Sure.
Is this the chair?
Sit right down there and let's get right to work.
Okay.
How you doing?
Great. You a race fan?
Oh, yeah, I love the races.
Good. Okay, let's go.
Benny? Hi, how you doing?
Great.
Joe sent me. How can I be of service to you today?
I got a little crick in my neck. Can you fix me up?
Sure. I'm the staff masseuse.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Oh.
How's that?
That's wonderful.
wonderful. Oh, feels good.
Joe said you were in the mood for a little scalp massage here, too, today.
Yeah, right.
How's that?
Jiggins eats your heart out, huh? That's wonderful.
You disgust me, Parsons. I tell you what, my next contract with ESPN is going to include a Bob's World.
No. I like Mitty Miller. Pretty good-looking girl, huh?
Yeah, she's a good-looking girl.
Talk, Bob.
Miss Pocono, Miss Miller Genuine Draft. That must have been fun. Did your wife know you did that?
It was her idea.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Okay, let's catch you up on what's
let's
been
go
happening
back to the race.
Okay, there's
Let's get
Davey
our
Allison
mind
still
on better
leading.
things.
Now, while that was going on, Rusty Wallace made a pit stop, had a vibration in his car. Morgan Shepherd apparently has lost a cylinder on the Citgo Ford. He's running at a slower pace out there. Dave Marcus is in the pits now, going down pit road, can't get it cranked. And so he might even be headed to the garage area. Yes, he is. Dave Marcus headed to the garage area.
So does that bring us up to date?
Well, reasonably so.
I missed all that while I was watching Vinnisworth.
Hey, the yellow flag is out for the first time on lap 117. For the first time this afternoon,
And
Royal Ford has the yellow again.
Sterling Marlin and Ken Schrader are glad to see it. They were just about to go a lap down. We said earlier that Sterling perhaps had lost a cylinder, and he was just about to go a lap down, so now he'll get a little reprieve here.
Been a long time coming. Jerry, how come we got a yellow here? I don't see anything.
We were told a minute ago that Greg Sachs in the car number 41 had broken a shock absorber, and now some of the drivers are ready, and then they see a piece of a shock absorber laying on the racetrack. So that will diagnose Greg Sachs' problem, unfortunately for him. But for the crews, particularly Davey Allison, who needed a pit stop, they are all going to come in under this first caution flag of the day. Let's go up pit road to John Kernan.
Jerry, you talked about several of the drivers. I believe Kyle Petty was the first one. He was traveling along and saw the shot come off of Greg Sachs' car. He radioed it in to Robin Pemberton, who told a NASCAR official. And as a result, we've got a caution for debris out on the racetrack.
Elmo Langley has the pace car out. He's picking up the leader.
We still got 34 cars on the racetrack, fellas, and 33 of them saw that out there. Wanted this caution flag.
All but one.
And maybe Davey Allison.
Maybe he did too, so we can get some fuel.
Elmo in the GMC pace truck.
Yep, I incorrectly identified it as the pace car. It's the pace truck. It's a tradition here at Pocono. Should have those lights on the top going, it seems like. Anyway, we can see those on the lead lap are flanking off and coming in. Namely, Davey Allison, Kyle Petty, Alan Kulwicki, Mark Martin, and Ricky Rudd. Jerry is in the leader's pit.
Well, for the very first time today, these crews will be able to battle head-to-head as everyone on the lead lap will make an entry on the pit road. Davey Allison's Haviland crew getting ready to try to see if they can perform under some pressure here. The caution out, but they will try to beat other people out, including the windshield. NASCAR has allowed an 8th man over the wall now to clean some windshield as the crew members have complained of oil in the front part of the windshield. Left side tires on the Davey Allison car. Let's check into the Kyle Petty pit.
Remember, these guys had an excellent pit stop. One's in motion right now. Kyle guns the engine his way. 4 tires and fuel, Jerry.
Davey Allison's car pulled away. Meanwhile, behind him, and Allison and Kyle Petty, but Kyle Petty will be the first one to get back to turn 1. So once again, an outstanding pit stop by Robin Pemberton and the Miller Yellow crew.
Boy, they are doing a fine job getting Kyle in and out of the pits. He's going to lead Davey out of pit road. Mark Martin is there in third, and coming back here is Ricky Rudd passing Alan Kulwicki.
Well, if Kulwicki got across that white line before Ricky Rudd, then that's not a legal pass. He'll have to.
There's Ken Schrader, who is also in. He was just about to, he was in 14th position when the caution came out.
But Kulwicki's not getting his car up to speed. Doesn't look to me like as Musgrave and Dale Jarrett, Brett Bodine, Sterling Marlin, and Jeff Bodine all leave the pits. You see a safety truck going out on the racetrack to pick up that piece of shot.
We are under caution for the first time this afternoon because of debris on the racetrack. We'll be back with more in just a moment at Pocono. Here are the top 5 after 120 of 200 laps. The Miller Genuine Draft 500. Kyle Petty, Davey Allison running in second position. There's a huge crowd on hand here enjoying some sunshine and some nice weather. And there is the Economaki press box that, of course, is named after Chris Economaki, the editor and publisher emeritus of National Speed Sport News. Chris, of course, is over from New Jersey, and this, I guess, would have to be considered his home racetrack, and that's why the press box is named after Chris. Getting lined up for restart to go at least one more under caution, and while we are under that caution, we will take another break and be back with more live coverage from Pocono. Well, there are the top 5 in NASCAR Winston Cup points coming into this race, and on the right is where they're running at the moment. Davey Allison has led most of the way, but because he fell in behind Kyle Petty coming to the pits, he's second right now. Bill Elliott has struggled somewhat today, running 21st. Kulwicki is 5th, Gant is 6th, and Dale Earnhardt has also had a very disappointing performance here at Pocono this afternoon in 24th spot. Well, the 15 car, Jeff Bodine, is on pit road, but the hood is up on it, or it was.
Well, they closed the hood. They're trying to beat the pace truck. They keep calling it car 2, and Bodine leaves the pits as the truck comes off turn 3, so he will safely get back on the racetrack without losing a lap.
Fellas, that's 3 of the Fords that are having some sort of problems. The 21 car, the Citgo Ford of Morgan Shepherd, he had the hood up when he made a pit stop too. In fact, he's coming back into the pits right now. But we had said that he'd lost a cylinder, and Sterling Marlin.
So once again, we take a break from our hesitation here at Pocono. We'll be right back. How's this for perfect timing? The green flag comes out, and we are back to racing on lap 124. First caution of the day is concluded. We picked up the debris on the racetrack, and now we're back to competition with Kyle Petty leading and Davey Allison running second, and everybody else scrambling for position.
Rusty Wallace trying to get his lap back. Has Kyle Petty hung up on the outside as Mark Martin and Davey Allison retakes the lead.
Yeah, Rusty lost a lap on an unscheduled pit stop. Terry Labonte also off there. He's lapped down. He wants to stay out and try to get his lap back. Kyle Petty is staying out on the outside.
He's dropping back.
He can't get back in there. There's Ricky Rudd on the inside of him. Mark Martin right behind Ricky Rudd.
Kyle's hung out there and just simply can't get back to the inside. Now, hit the brakes and come left. There you go. Ooh, who's that on the outside of Mark Martin?
Davey Allison has Terry Labonte on the outside of him.
That was Alex Kulwicki trying to get by Mark Martin on the outside up in the flat corner. Was able to make the pass.
So it's Davey leading and Ricky Rudd running in second spot. And then comes Kyle and Mark and Allen. Boy, 3 wide going in there. They get down into 2 abreast.
All those green cars got side by side.
Yeah. Dale Jarrett got hung out on the outside there as well, and that cost him a few positions.
There's Wally Dallenbach running ahead of Ken Schrader.
He's hung on the outside. Every time we see that boy seems to be hung on the outside.
Yep.
When you get out there, as you see Schrader on the outside, all those guys on the preferred line on the inside go by you.
It's almost like a Talladega, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
There's Bill Elliott.
With the Phillips 66 car looking back from the rear bumper, Bill Elliott.
Bill is all the way back in 25th spot.
And we see that Davey Allison has passed Rusty Wallace to put him a lap down. Man, these guys just aren't. They all just keep jockeying for position down through there. No one's content to stay where they are.
Now they all get in single file. That's where they wanted to be, was in single file. But they'd rather be in single file in front of the guy that they're running behind.
Exactly. Dallenbach and Schrader. Schrader dives inside. Now we look at Dallenbach's team car. Mark Martin of Avalon Ford. As he follows Kyle Petty.
All gets awfully close there.
Pure Letter Chevrolet.
Gary Copeland. Oh, he got way down on the rumble strip.
Yeah.
It still is. Wow.
Makes that car bounce when he gets down.
Oh, we see him get a little bit sideways. That gives Martin the momentum.
Look at this.
Martin pushing him or what?
Man, oh man.
He had to be pushing. Kulwicki goes with him.
Yep, Kulwicki's right behind Mark. Fastest cars all day. He won here in June. More information from Dr. Jerry Punch.
12 an additional 7 seconds in that last caution flag pit stop might just pay off for Alan Kulwicki here in the last few laps, the last 70 laps of the race. It took some time to remove a rubber spacer from the right front of the car. Alan had complained, and I'm not sure why you would complain as well as that car's been running, but if the car was too tight the first 100 laps, we said now we'll loosen the car up a little bit and we can go after it. So we'll see if it's going to work.
Staying right in there behind Mark Martin. Here comes another Napa field summary. We run down the complete field for you as they were running last time around. Not 5 or 10 or 15 laps ago. This is the way they were running last time.
And we said that Ricky Rudd was running second?
Yes, I pointed that out.
Good, I was not paying attention.
Now, those are the 15 cars that are in the lead lap, fellas.
Yep.
Now we see them, they're one lap down. Rusty Wallace is the first to go. And Terry Labonte who right up front there. And here's Ricky Rudd going around Rusty Wallace.
You know, you normally think of Ricky Rudd as one of those that performs well on road courses, and we often compare this to a road course, and he certainly is showing his stuff today, running in second spot.
He is started on the outside pole. As a matter of fact, Davey also started on the pole, and the 5-star Ricky Rudd started on the outside. And here we are, 127 laps in the race, and
we haven't done a thing.
Nothing has felt for 2 seconds. A couple of things have changed.
Yeah, Bernie Irvin is out of the race for one thing. Earnhardt has had a bad race. Haven't had any accidents at all so far. Only one caution. That was for debris on the track. Here's some side-by-side racing as Dick Trickle and Derek Cope, Brett Bodine.
Darrell Waltrip on the outside, the Western Auto Chevrolet.
All sneak up on Richard Petty.
Derek backs off.
Trickle is into 8th place. Brett Bodine is 9th.
He's trying to take over that 8th spot. He looks on the inside.
Yes.
Takes that spot away.
Here comes Darrell.
Darrell, he doesn't. I guess he did know he was there. Man, it always scares me. See Rick Mast, the Skoll Classic car, trying to get by these guys. Rick Mast is the 27th spot. He's 2 laps down with the leader.
Chad Little pulling out down on the inside. Dale Jarrett follows him to pick up a little bit of draft.
And there's Martin and Kulwicki behind Labonte and Kyle.
Here comes Kulwicki on the inside, taking a look. Looks like he's got him, Bob.
He's got him going into the tunnel turn.
Now Martin should come back as you come off this corner, back up on the back bumper. Not that much.
I'll tell you, that's 7 cars fast.
Has moved to 4th. Want to again mention, for those of you who watched Saturday Night Thunder very quickly, that Mac McClellan, the driver who had that terrible accident last night during Saturday Night Thunder, the latest medical condition we had on him, a basal skull fracture, both arms, both hands broken, remaining in the critical care unit of Methodist Hospital in semi-conscious condition. Well, now Kyle Petty has put a lap on Rusty Wallace. We will be back with more from Pocono International after these messages. When we were here in June, we set a new track record for this race at 142.5 miles an hour. This race is even faster. We're on record pace at over 146 and 131 laps completed with Davey Allison, your leader over Ricky Rudd, Kyle Petty, Alan Kulwicki, Mark Martin, and Harry Gant.
There we see Kulwicki trying to get on the inside of Rusty Wallace to put him a lap down. He makes the pass. Now he can set his sights on Kyle Petty, who's running 3rd.
Terry Labonte also in the shot there in the Sunoco car. He is a lap down.
17th position.
There's Mark.
Rusty Wallace in 16th.
Harry Gant. We haven't talked much about Harry, but by golly, he's hanging in there.
There he is, the Skoll Bandit.
He's 6th.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Finished 23rd here in June, but he had an engine pump off the valve here in June.
Behind him is the 26 car of Brett Bodine. He's 7th.
Brett's coming, fellas. He was 11th when they restarted this race, and he is definitely coming back into the pack.
Now here's a battle for third spot. Kulwicki to the inside of Kyle Petty. Passes him. Kulwicki is now third.
And it's a little bit of distance up there to Ricky Rudd, so. And even a greater distance up to Davey Allison. So, Kulwicki's moved his way up to third, but he has his work cut out for him to get to the leaders.
There's Greg Sachs in the 41 car. He's well off the pace.
Harry Gant, Brett Bodine.
And Brett finished 8th here in the June race.
He's currently 7th, and Darrell Walter is the 8th place car. There's old DW.
Darrell Waltrip, 3-time winner here at Pocono.
There's Richard Petty. He's a lap down. Also, Jerry Cope a lap down. They're racing for position. The Trickle is on the lead lap.
Yep,
he's 9th place.
Jeff Bodine just came in with pits. He went a lap down. Now there are only 14 cars in the lead lap.
And then we see Chad Little behind Trickle. Chad Little is in 20 spot. He's a lap down. 55 car, Ted Musgrave, the Jasper Engine Ford.
He's in the top 10.
Yeah, he's 10th place car. See Coach trying to get down on the inside of Richard Petty. There's Dale Jarrett, the Interstate Battery Chevrolet. Who's he running, Ned?
11th. Yep. He was in front of Ted Musgrave a little while ago, but Musgrave passed him.
Coach isn't here this week, is he?
Yeah, he flew in this morning.
Did
The
he?
helicopter says he has to leave early this afternoon.
We haven't seen him.
Jimmy Horton is spinning down.
No, he's
he pulled off the track. I thought that thing looked sideways there for a second.
Well, we understand the transmission went out, so Jimmy Horton just pulls it off the racetrack, pulls it up to some fans. It gives them a big thrill as they'll watch Jimmy get out. But the other thing it does, most importantly, is it gets the car well off the racetrack, and there will be no caution.
He go get a piece of chicken over there somewhere.
There's Schrader. He's 12th.
Hutch Strickland, the Rebestis automobile following Schrader Chevrolet.
Hud is in 21st position, 1 lap down.
I assume that is a Chevrolet as well.
Yeah.
The next car in this field is, I don't know.
21. Yeah, Morgan Shepherd. Who is he?
Well, he's the next car in the running order as far as positions are concerned.
There he is.
Running in 13th position. I would rather go forward. Doing better so far today than he did here in June.
By the way, Glenwood had a birthday yesterday, didn't he? I believe he was 63 yesterday.
There we see Jeff Bodine slowly coming off the tunnel corner.
Next in the serial scoring,
Sterling Marlin. That caution flag at least saved him getting laps, so he's still in the lead lap. Both these guys, this guy and Jeff Bodine, both. I guess 21 is on 7 cylinders as well.
Yeah,
both these cars.
They're running about the same speed as well. In fact, Morgan is there. You see them running pretty close together. Last 2 cars on the lead lap. They're 13th and 14th. Jeff Bodine coming back into the pits once again.
Davey Allison has dominated this race except for pit stops, and he continues to lead with now 136 laps completed. Caution is out at Pocono for the second time this afternoon. This was for our only incident of wall contact, and it wasn't very significant. Behind that safety truck there is the 16 car of Wally Dallenbach Jr. Made contact with the wall in turn number 2. Didn't hit it very hard, but it was enough to make the car come to a stop outside of the tunnel turn on the North Straightaway.
Had to be pretty good lick because he was not able to get the car back to the pits. He had to stop over there in the grass. At least he did pull down in the grass.
He was running in 25th position when the accident occurred. Now we're waiting for the field to come around to see who will make pit stops. Obviously, just about everybody will come in for at least fuel.
Yeah, they should be able to make it on one more pit stop from here, Bob.
At least they fixed the lights on the truck.
Here comes Davey and Ricky and Allen and everybody else. Jerry Punch is in the 28 pit.
Actually, Davey Allison and Ricky Rudd, the top 2 cars, will be pitting just nose to tail here at the far end of pit road. This indeed was a break for Davey Allison. They would have had to make 2 more stops. Now they're making on 1 more after this one. They all come down pit road very deliberately. We would expect to see a 4-tire change here by the Haviland crew. Likewise, 4 tires will be going on the Tide Chevrolet, pitting just behind Davey Allison. Right side tires going on. 1 can of fuel in. Very critical they get the car completely full of fuel here for the Haviland crew. Now Ricky Rudd's team changing left side tires. Right behind the leader, Davey Allison. Left side wheels being rolled up, bolted on, getting ready to pull the jack. The 7 car is in and out. Kowicki is out of the way. Rudd is out of the way. Meanwhile, they're still working on the Haviland car, and now the car stalling for Davey. He refires it and pulls away. It cost him about an extra 7 or 8 seconds.
He lost several positions.
Yes, he did. He lost about 5 or 6 positions.
As strong as that car's been all day, now we're going to find out how strong he really is, because for the first time, he's got to pass race cars.
He has some work on his hands. We'll see how Davey Allison is able to handle it, because he's going to fall into about 5th position on the restart. We'll be back with more right after this. Under our second caution of the day because of an accident over in turn number 2 involving Wally Dalleback Jr. with the Miller
advantages as well. Hey, as Mark Martin has a problem here, he's back in the pits with the right side of the car jacked up.
Well, he sure is. They're working on the right side, right front.
And they're about to get lapped. They got to get moving. Okay, they did get moving.
Just barely, though. Let's go down to Jerry Punch, who has another celebrity for us.
We're with Danny Shirley, who's the lead singer of the Atlantic recording artist group Confederate Railroad out of Atlanta. And Danny, your first NASCAR race live. I know you watch a lot of them. Welcome to NASCAR.
This has been great. Joe Mattioli invited us up to play before the race, and we've had a ball.
Now, I understand your new hit video, She Took It Like a Man, has been nominated for Video of the Year, and it features the fellows whose shirts you're wearing. You're Jerry Glanville, the head coach of the Atlanta.
Coach Jerry Glanville, Atlanta Falcons. Yeah, buddy.
Now, Glanville's a big motorsports. He's involved in driving some Busch Grand National.
Yeah, he's been. He just recently got into the driving and is doing pretty well, from what I understand.
Well, good luck on the Video of the Year nomination.
Well, thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Another celebrity here in the pits, Danny Shirley, lead singer for Confederate Railroad. Gentlemen?
They performed in front of the grandstand before the race began, I think. They were good.
Really?
Yeah.
Son of a gun, I was busy and I missed it.
Well, they got the one to go, but now the lights are back on top of the pace truck, and so apparently we're going to go at least one more lap before we get the green. So we'll take another break. We're glad you could join us on this Sunday afternoon as we continue our live coverage of the Miller Genuine Draft 500. We're back at the Miller Genuine Draft 500 from Pocono International Raceway near Long Pond, Pennsylvania. Under our second caution of the day, they're cleaning up some oil over in turn number 3. Burt Reynolds.
Yep. I tell you what, it's going to be great to have a weekend off next weekend. This hot sun, lay by the pool.
What do you mean a weekend off? You know where I'm going to be next weekend?
No.
I'm going to be in Portland, Oregon. We're doing Speed Week live out there on Saturday night, and Sunday afternoon we'll be doing a IMSA GTP race with Brabham and Fangio and Jones and all those guys. So I hope you can watch next Sunday afternoon as we do the IMSA race live from Portland.
Well, I've been trying to borrow some money, so I just go borrow it from you, right? You got to be the richest man that I know.
Oh, yeah, right. Well, what makes you say that?
We work every day.
Well, I do.
You must be getting paid.
Weekend off.
You don't get next weekend off?
No.
What are you doing next
I don't ever get a weekend off. Be in Talladega for the Die Hard 500.
We won't be televising that race, but there will be. Here's John Kernan.
Harry Gant is pulled into the pit. You see a crewman leading into the right side. They're putting a battery in. They've had an alternator problem, and he's been shutting off the cooling fans, but the battery that's been in the car is just about dead. So now they're changing batteries and also switching ignitions. Mark Martin is also down pit road with Jerry Punch.
And a minute ago, Mark was in for a lengthy stop. They had a breather line for the transmission that laid over against the headers and was creating some smoke. That came in and jacked it up to remove that area that was contacting the headers, and now it's smoked a little bit more. They decided to bring him back in. It's already at the tail end of the line there, so rather than take a chance on it smoking some more and getting black flag, they have him back here in the pits, the right side jacked up, and so the Valvoline crew working now on the Mark Martin car. We have 144 laps, just 56 away from the completion of the Miller Genuine Draft 500. Back to Pocono after this. When the Winston Cup teams arrive at the racetrack, they must undergo a very thorough inspection, which includes, among other things, the removal and measuring of the fuel cell. Now, in years past, when the fuel cell was measured, they used a rolling tape measure to determine that it was 33 inches long by 17 wide by 9 1/4 deep. However, depending upon whose tape measure you use and how you looked at it, well, there could be some discrepancy. And crews quickly learned that as much as a 1/4 of an inch discrepancy could translate into an extra ½ gallon in this tank. And over the course of a long afternoon, that extra ½ gallon could add up and may mean one less fuel stop. So NASCAR says no more arbitrary tape measures in 1992. Instead, they have built a special fuel cell measuring gauge. Quite simply, insert it across the end of the fuel cell. If it fits, you're okay. If it doesn't, you're illegal.
Fuel very critical at every racetrack, and especially here at Pocono.
Yeah, I don't think there's any track that is more critical than it is here, or maybe a road course or somewhere, because if you run out of gas here coming off of turn 3, you can't coast back around this racetrack.
Yep. No, you can't. You physically cannot get the car back here. You have to stop out there, and it's 3 or 4 laps before they get someone to push you here. So
this has been an extended caution period. Originally was for Dallenbach's crash out in turn number 2, but they are looking very closely at the entire racetrack right now. Well, a lot of activity coming up next weekend, as we told you about here on ESPN. Have you
probably will?
Still under caution. They are checking the racetrack for oil. A very thorough examination of the facility before we go back to green. We have just gone back to green on lap 148. The leader of the race is Alan Kulwicki. Those 2 cars leading the procession down into turn number 2 are lap cars.
Rusty Wallach and Derek Cope, both guys trying their best to get a lap back. They're in front of the leader right now. If they can stay there, and a caution should come out. They'll be looking good.
Second place belongs to Ricky Rudd. Third is Kyle Petty.
And look at old DW.
Yeah, fourth is Waltrip, and fifth is Davey Allison. Allison looking to the inside of Waltrip at the end of the main straightaway. Let's see if he picks up that spot. Yes, Davey now moves to fourth.
Car moved up the hill just a little bit. Darrell Waltrip thought about going back inside of him.
Well, we wondered if he'd be able to pass cars. He was 7th after those pit stops. And he really is coming back to be able to do it.
Derek Cope moved over to try to draft on Rusty Wallace. And Kulwicki and Rudd went by him on the outside. Tell you what, that was a pretty gutsy move on those guys' part.
Here comes Kyle to the inside of Derek.
And the 28 car is going to try to follow.
Yep.
There we see Davey on the inside. He is on the inside of Derek Cope, trying to get by him. And meanwhile, Darrell Waltrip right on the back bumper of Davey.
And here's Mark Martin and Harry Gann battling for position. And 55, Ted Musgrave.
They all made late pit stops.
That's 10th, 11th, and 12th there, as up front, Kulwicki Wallace goes a lap down as Kulwicki passes him, and so does Ricky.
Oh, Rudd just staying right on the bumper. Kulwicki there right now. How long can he do that? Rusty gets out of the way now. Cotton Petty.
Upside down into the guardrail, side over side, end over end, and Davey Allison has experienced a horrifying crash. Davey Allison. His car is upside down. Fuel is pouring out of it. The safety crew is right there. It stopped just in front of one of the safety trucks. The third caution of the day is out. Well, just like on Saturday Night Thunder last night, this is the type of thing that we don't like to see in racing.
And of course, it's more apt to happen when the cars are bunched up. And for the first, 300 miles of this race, almost, they were pretty well strung out because we didn't have a caution.
There's a Jaws of Life vehicle coming in with the equipment that they may need to
Davy's car is upside down.
Well, that was a good indication.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. He clapped his hands. Apparently, Davy is talking to them.
Yeah, that was a good indication that, hey, we don't need to cut the guy. He's going to be able to get out of here by himself is what I took from that.
That's exactly the way I read it.
Certainly hope that's what it means. Let's take a look at it again. It happened outside of turn 2.
See some contact between Darrell Waltrip and Davy Allison, and the car just flew through the air.
Well, he got on the air, in the air very quickly.
It goes over the top of the guardrail.
Yep.
Flipped right over the top of the guardrail.
It looked very much like Darrell Waltrip's crash at Daytona last year.
Here they come off the corner, and Darrell Waltrip is trying to go by on the inside of Davy Allison, and Davy comes down to try to block that move, and just some contact there, and just as soon as that car touched the grass, it flew.
Turned over.
Now they're not. Are they required to run the skirts on the right side of the cars here like they do at Daytona and Talladega?
I don't believe so, man.
And you can see that once the air got up under the right side of that car, it just flipped it the wrong way. I want to say the wrong way against the momentum that the car had.
Well, needless to say, we will closely monitor the situation and pass along any information as soon as it becomes available to us on the condition of Davy Allison, who's had a bad crash here at Pocono. .151 of 200 laps have been completed at the Miller Genuine Draft 500. The top 10, Kulwicki, Rudd, Kyle Petty, Waltrip, and Brett Bodine. 6 through 10, Ken Schrader, Dick Trickle, Dale Jarrett, Mark Martin, and Harry Gant. We've had a very bad crash here at Pocono involving Davy Allison. The car down in the grass between the second and third turns after slight contact was made with Darrell Waltrip. The car end over end, side over side for many times. Here is the replay of it.
You can see that Darrell Waltrip does just touch the left rear quarter panel of Davy Allison's car and sends him down into the grass. The car gets up on its roof and then starts barrel rolling, and it rolls over this guardrail. It's a single strand guardrail, and lands over next to the other guardrail.
On its top. Now, we do not have a whole lot of information at this time, but the information that we do have is good. Davy Allison is conscious and has been removed from the car. So
some of the spotters are saying that car flipped 9 times in 4 seconds. All we can do is just sit here and pray, and I'm sure that if Liz is here, that Max Helton is a blessing to her right now, the minister, the motor racing outreach fellow that follows the circuit, and a fine, fine man.
Yeah, he is. And still, of course, has the chance to become the first in history to lead the point standings from the very first race until the last. Elmo Langley is in the pace truck with the field behind him under caution for the 3rd time today. Few drivers taking advantage of the caution period to make pit stops, including Kyle Petty.
Also saw Michael Waltrip sitting there with the hood up on the Pennzoil Pontiac.
And Richard Petty is in with his car jacked up on the right side. They're doing something, probably either raising or lowering the sway bar or putting a rubber in a spring or something on the STP Pontiac.
Trying to make it handle better.
All right.
Richard, let's see if we can find him here in the scoring. 16th.
1 lap down.
Very good run here. Yes. This is his final appearance at Pocono. There is Davy on the stretcher being taken to a gurney that will put him into the ambulance and transported to the nearest medical facility for further attention. And the word we had was that Davy was conscious. We had no other information than that.
Remember, this is not too far from the spot that his father, Bobby, was injured.
That's right.
So severely back in, what was that, 1988?
That brought his career to an end.
Bobby is here.
There's Alan Kulwicki, who is the leader of the race. truck. You did see Davy's arms moving as he was being transported to the ambulance, so that's another good sign. Yellow is staying out. We thought perhaps this might bring out a red flag situation, but so far we are remaining under caution, and 154 laps have been completed, and there Davy is now being loaded into that ambulance. Boy, let's hope that he isn't seriously injured.
Been a tough year for Davy Allison. You remember at Bristol, he crashed, broke some ribs, and North Wilkesboro 2 weeks later, had a relief driver, Jimmy Hinge, standing by, but won the race. And then at Charlotte, he won the Winston and crashed as he crossed the start-finish line, and had to spend the night in the Carolinas Medical Center because he was knocked unconscious. And then just this week has been in the hospital a couple of days.
And in between Charlotte and Bristol, had a hard crash at Martinsville.
That's right.
Now here's a good sign. Watch closely. There you can see Davy moving his left arm up apparently to his forehead, and then he puts it back. So he's moving and he's conscious, and boy, that's good.
Yeah, that is a good sign to see him be able to move his arm himself.
There's the ambulance.
Well, we are under caution, and the cleanup continues back there in the back of the racetrack. And when we're clear, we'll go back to racing and finish up the Miller Genuine Draft 500. That's all that's left of Davy Allison's Haviland Ford Thunderbird, as it overturned about 9 times, we think, in just a matter of seconds between the second and third turns.
Well, it looks like Darrell Waltrip's car at Daytona last year, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's a very similar looking crash, really.
Yeah, most of the sheet metal flying off of it.
But again, that's good because that dissipates the... They're taking him to the infield care center, and I would guess this is standard operating procedure, although if it were real bad news, I would think they would have the helicopter going already and ready to transport him. So perhaps we're going to get by without airlifting Davy out of here.
Well, we're seeing some good signs.
Yeah, we are.
Well, that time evidently he missed the door because he's backing up again. Saw Robert Yates there, the owner of the 28 car. I see that ambulance just fixed the door there. They're trying to load the Haviland Star up on the back of the truck. I don't think they can hurt that car. Usually these guys are concerned, Ed, when they load them on the wreckers that the wreckers don't do any damage to them, but I don't think they can hurt that car.
No, they don't need to be concerned about that. And fellas, you have to look back to that pit stop when he had the trouble in the pits and didn't get out, and he dropped back to 7th place. If whatever the situation was there, he wouldn't have been back there.
But yeah, here's a Fram field summary. Kowicki, the leader, Rudd, Waltrip, Darrell, Brett Bodine, Dick Trickle. That's the top 5. Darrell Waltrip's going in the pits. Kenny Schrader, Dale Jarrett, Harry Gant, Ted Musgrave, Morgan Shepherd, Sterling Marlin, Mark Martin, Kyle Petty. All those cars on the last lap. Kyle Petty stopped a couple of laps ago. For some reason, we really don't know. All these cars are lap down.
Through 20. Elliott, boy, he has struggled here, running 20th. Earnhardt also has. He's 18th. On back to Richard Petty in 23rd, and Bobby Hillen, who's carrying one of our in-car cameras, 2 laps down in 25th.
And we see Michael Waltrip back there. He's also 2 laps down. Of course, Davy Allison, as they make these laps during caution, he will eventually just go on down. He's right now being shown as 5 laps down.
Ollie Dallenbach had an incident with the wall, a relatively minor one, a few laps ago.
There we see Jeff Bodine back there in 31st position. He's on pit road with the hood up on the Motorcraft Ford again, so he's still out there trying to make as many laps as he possibly can.
Look at that car.
Look at that car, man. Right in front of the tires where it went over that guardrail, Ned, just between the right rear tire and the main roll cage. And
I believe that one is torn up worse than Darrell's was last year at Daytona. If that's possible. Michael Waltrip coming down pit road with a lot of smoke from the Pennzoil Pontiac.
But as that car can look as bad as anything, but yet if that roll cage stayed intact.
Here's what caused it. Once again, Davy's trying to block Darrell getting on the inside of him, and they make some contact. And just as soon as he got on the grass, the car just lifted up and flew like we've seen them do at Daytona.
And you can see the sheet metal flying off the car, and there's where he hits the guardrail and makes that big dent that Benny was talking about there a moment ago. But it's a tribute to the way these cars are built. The roll cage looks like held up, did its job.
Yeah, it does. And the car is actually sitting on top of the roll cage right now. Yeah, we see the door is stuck down inside the roll cage.
But that roll bar is standing upright.
Looks like it is.
In any case, we don't like to see that kind of thing, and we just hope that Davey is not badly injured. And we'll continue to monitor his condition as he has been transported to the infield medical facility here at Pocono. Well, the laps continue to count off. 156 have now been completed. We've got a race to finish here in a few minutes, so stay with us. We'll be right back. Bob Jenkins, Benny Parsons, Ned Jarrett, John Kernan, Dr. Jerry Punch back at Pocono International Raceway, where we are under caution because of Davey Allison's very serious crash. But, Benny, that roll cage looks good.
It does look good, and I tell you what, that bar, the black bar right in the middle of the roll cage that runs horizontal, vertical, whatever, across. See that black bar right there in the center? That's going to save all that stuff from coming in the guardrail, all that other stuff from coming inside the car with Davey.
Let's go down to Dr. Jerry Punch, who is with one of Davey's very best friends, Joey Knuckles.
A crew member, you're right, Bob, and a very close friend of Davey's, Joey Knuckles. And Joey, you were inside a moment ago with Davey. What did they tell you?
They say that he is alert and conscious and knows where he is. And I know Liz tried to call, and, you know, all our families and everything, Debbie and everybody, you know, he's going to be okay. They're checking him over real good and fixing to fly him to the hospital. Our car held up real well. We're just, you know, our prayers are with him.
Well, you can see Joey Knuckles obviously choked up as the rest of the crew have come out, and they have told us that they probably will take him for further x-rays, but fortunately his heart rate seems to be okay. They're checking his lungs for breathing. They want to x-ray him for obvious fractures, but the fortunate thing, as you guys documented, that NASCAR mandated roll cage did its job after that violent flip here just a few minutes ago.
So Davey Allison is alert, conscious, knows who he is, where he is, and boy, that's great considering what it looked like.
I'm telling you, it looked awful. One of the worst crashes I've ever seen in this business, I do believe.
Yeah, it was a nasty one. Well, as I said, we still got about, 42 laps to go, and we'll be finished with this race when we go back to green here at Pocono. ESPN Speed World today at the Miller Genuine Draft 500 NASCAR Winston Cup race from Pocono International Raceway. We're under caution because of this crash. This is Davey Allison's car. And Ned, go to the telestrator there and show us exactly what Benny was talking about with those cross members on the roll cage.
He was talking about this bar here, Bob, that goes across from the front. Here's the bar that goes up on the left side of the windshield. That's great protection for the driver. And then, of course, there's a bar that goes up through here. Then this bar goes across and hooks into the bars on the back. And then, of course, there's a bar that goes straight up through here, too. And then there are crossbars over here. So they all tie together. And really, they did their job.
And that one you have circled, that's really important. When he flipped over that guardrail over there, that was really important to keep some of that debris from coming in with Davey.
And, of course, that door that we see sticking down in the top, the workers put that in there after they loaded the car in the truck.
Just to haul it back to the garage area.
Again, Davey is alert and conscious. In the infield medical center, will probably be airlifted to a local facility for further examination and x-rays. We are back to racing. The green flag comes out on lap 161, and the race resumes now with Alan Kulwicki in the lead, and Davey had dominated this race until this point. But now, with him out of the race, it's going to be a shootout. We've got Kulwicki, we've got Rudd, Brett Bodine. We've got several cars very capable of winning this race.
Here we see Kyle Petty trying to get on the inside of Dale Earnhardt.
That's going to get trying.
Now he's going to get on the outside of Dale Earnhardt. Meanwhile, Earnhardt's on the inside of Mark Martin.
A lot of cars make late pit stops there to top off their fuel.
class act by Dale Earnhardt to move over and let these guys go by. Because these guys are racing for the win.
Well, there's racing on the track, but we also have to dispatch some important information to you. And for that, here's Jerry Punch.
We're with Robert Yates, the car owner of Davey Allison's machine. And Robert, you just come out and talking to the doctors. What have they told you now that they've been able to decide on Davey?
Well, you know, the guy that medical attended on him gave me a thumbs up on him, said he does have a problem with his arm, but after they've checked him, he does have a fractured right arm and possibly a fracture in the left skull, left temple.
So they are going to take him to Allentown, the Lehigh Valley for x-rays?
Yes.
That's Robert Yates, a fractured right forearm and possibly a fracture over the left eye, the left orbit area. And all they've been able to diagnose so far, they're going to take him for further x-rays. But if that's all it is and that kind of violent impact, it's not good, but it could have been a whole lot worse.
And say that again. On the racetrack, it is Kulwicki and Rudd, first and second.
Kulwicki is able to put a few car lengths on Ricky Rudd in just a couple of laps we've had back since we started back racing on the green.
Not too far talking about green. Look at that green car of Brett Bodine coming up through there in third place. Brett was coming after one of the last cautions. He was caught back in the field, but really came back up through there, so he has a strong car.
And they fan out behind the leaders. Ted Musgrave is also hanging right in there, having a good race.
Yes, he is. He's running very, very strong.
He's sixth.
And that seems to be Musgrave's strong suit, to just take it easy at the beginning, and as the end of the race gets nearer and nearer, he gets closer and closer to the front.
He has run a good, steady race here today.
As we said earlier, his best finish has been an 8th this year on 3 different occasions, so he has his best race of the year going.
And here's a gaggle of cars headed by Earnhardt, Bobby Hamilton,
Chad Little behind him.
Rusty Wallace pulling up on the back bumper of Chad Little. Dale Jarrett's back there in that group. Darrell Waltrip.
Dale is currently being shown in the 7th position, Waltrip in 8th. Dale's going to try to pull out and pass Rusty. Darrell comes out too. He's going to try to pass Dale.
And he does. This is from the Jimmy Hensley bumper cam.
Rick Mast way up high there. Looks like the Pure Letter Chevrolet of
Jerry Coe behind him. Yep, that's him.
Coe is 20th.
Trickle on the inside of Ken Schrader. Harry Gant pulls alongside the other U.S. Tobacco car.
That battle there between Schrader and Trickle was for 9th. Up front, a good 3-car, even a 4-car battle for the lead. Not too far behind is the 5th place car, Kyle Petty. Some great competition here as Kulwicki leads them down into turn number 1.
I wonder if Kulwicki, Ned, you know, they said he took a rubber out of the right front. Now that he's out clear racetrack and nothing, no one in front of him, I wonder if he wishes he had that rubber back in the right front.
Well, you wonder, because he had been able to come up and pass cars and pull away from him, but he's not able to pull away from these guys now. But I think we've had these caution flags, and it has given the teams an opportunity to make adjustments on the car, so we might see some come to the forefront that we hadn't seen that much today. Brett Bodine is one of them, I think.
See, all these guys running about the same spot, same tracks around the racetrack.
Three of the top 4 are Fords.
Closes up right behind Brett Bodine.
With Mark Martin, the roof cam, and the Fram field summary to the left. Watch for your favorite driver. First 5 cars right together on the racetrack, nose to tail. Kyle Petty is caught up with Mark Martin now. They're in 5th.
See Bill Elliott back in 23rd spot, but I think that's still enough. If would further complicate Davey Allison's day, Bill would probably take over the Winston Cup point lead if he he finishes the race today.
Separation was 46 coming in. Allison over Elliott in the point standings. So the top 5 are right together. Back in 6th position is Ted Musgrave.
He's catching him.
He sure is.
He's catching that power.
Boy, Ted must be loving it.
I'd say he's a little excited. There we see Kulwicki trying to keep these guys from drafting, keeping up with them.
His best finish here at Pocono was 13th back in 91. This race in 91.
Talking about Musgrave, I bet his crew, D.K. Ulrich, Ray and Diane DeWitt, the owners of the car, I bet they are excited down there now.
Well, they got to be. He's had a very, very good run. Ken Schrader just slowed coming off the turn 3. Apparently when something was wrong with the Kodiak Chevrolet. He was running in the right position. And he just slowed dramatically as he came off the turn 3.
Everybody passing Ken Schrader.
Looks like he's still under power, so probably just a cylinder going away.
He was in 9th and has experienced what appears to be an engine problem. So the lead continues to be held by Alan Kulwicki, but he has his mirrors full of race cars as 5 are lined up right behind him. Back in a moment. We'll call the action at 8 o'clock tonight Eastern Time here on ESPN. There are the front 3, Kulwicki, Rudd, Brett Bodine.
What's going to happen on the last pit stop? Gas only? What do you think?
You guys are supposed to.
I think we'll have to take on tires.
You think
There's
so?
such a difference in the speed of new tires and hot rolling tires.
I think they've only got to run 5 or 6 laps.
Well, okay. If they can go that close, well then. Yeah, but I think Kulwicki's going to have to stop with maybe 20 laps to go.
Oh, really? Oh,
well,
okay.
I don't know, 15 or so. There's a lot of them that get through and top off, so they should be able to go. Yeah, probably down to where maybe they only have 5 or 6 laps to go.
Musgrave is clogged Kyle Petty.
Let's go to John Kernan on pit road, who's with Buddy Parrott.
Buddy, it almost seems like you guys have come out of nowhere, stuck into the top 10, and now he's trying to make a move out there on the racetrack. What you got in there?
Well, first of all, the Jasper engine car is really working great, and the chassis, we were up here last time, and we had a little problem, and but this time the car is working well, the engine's working great, and the crew's doing a great job in the pits also. Ted's just, you know, we started way back 27th. We had a little problem qualifying, but he's been running real smooth all day long, and it's beginning to pay off. The only problem is we got another Michigan deal. Looks like we're going to stop for gas.
Is that all you're going to do is stop for gas on this on the final stop? Just stop for gas?
Yeah, it looks like we may have to stop about a 10, make about a 10 lap to go, and so you know, that's the deal. But the crew's going crazy. We must have got by somebody else.
Well, he's just past Kyle Petty. Now they're going to have to stop for gas. On the way up here, guys, I stopped by and talked to Jeff Hammond. He says, hey, we may try to go all the way. They were one of the teams that on the last couple of laps of that caution period, they ducked onto pit road and topped off.
Interesting. Anyway, Musgrave has gone on into 5th position, passing Kyle Petty.
And the crew went crazy. But he said, we must have passed someone else because the crew went crazy.
Well, when Buddy Parrott mentioned Michigan, he had moved up into the top 5 and was really running as good as everybody up there, excepting Davey Allison. But they did have to come in for fuel near the end of the race, and that cost them several positions. But this run is similar to that in Michigan back in June.
It is tight up front. Kulwicki and Rudd and Bodine and Martin and Musgrave and Petty.
Kulwicki's getting a break right now because Ricky Rudd is having to worry about Brett Bodine. And he can't concentrate on passing the Kulwicki car because he doesn't want to get out of position because he's going to lose the position. And that's playing into Kulwicki's hands right now.
understand that Allen will be in 7 laps.
I thought, you know, he's been out there since it was, what, about 140 laps to go. 140 laps to run, 60 laps to go when they made that last pit stop. And then does he take on tires with 20 more laps to go?
It'll be interesting. Right sides, 4 tires, or just gas?
We do have quite a story unfolding here with the pit strategy. Who's going to come out on top as far as pit stops are concerned, and who's going to come out on the racetrack itself. And while we set up this final scenario, we'll take another break and be back with more at Pocono. Well, the crowd remains enthusiastic as they watch the action on the racetrack, and the laps counting down 175 about to be completed, leaving us 25 laps to go at Pocono, USA, and Pocono International Raceway. Alan Kulwicki leads Ricky Rudd and Brett Bodine. Something to hoot about with Alan Kulwicki? Well, yeah, he's had a good season. 2 wins so far this year, 9 top 5 finishes. He's been the leader in 11 of the 15 events that we've had so far this year, and he ranks 3rd in points, 134 behind Allison.
He's also led the last 7 races that's been run, and he's led 12 of the last 13.
Not bad.
Not bad. So he's having a great year in that Hooters Ford.
And of course, one of his wins this year came here at this facility just last month. So he's making it, looking to making it 2 in a row here at Pocono.
Boy, Rudd really closed up on him that time.
Let's get out to Jerry Punch for a comment.
You know, guys, now most teams have a car for the short tracks, a car for the intermediate tracks, and a speedway car. And then they have one car they run only at Bristol. Alan Kulwicki, being an owner and a driver, says we had to economize. So what I do is I find a car that runs best anywhere, and I use it to death. This is the same car he won with on ESPN early in the year at Bristol. He brought it here last month and won at Pocono. And if he keeps winning, he's going to use this car the rest of the year, he told me.
Can't blame him for that. And you get a car that works good. There's not as much difference now, Benny, in a short track car and a big track car as the way they used to be.
No, that's right. NASCAR's mandated the wheelbases are about the same. The tread widths are about the same on both cars.
And that has made it where it doesn't make a great deal of difference.
Alan Kulwicki looking for the Winston Cup title. Is there more pressure just to do well in the races or to win that $1 million that goes with the title?
Well, I think the best thing to do is not even think about that kind of stuff. You know, if you can, just go out and do your best every week. And, you know, the best thing that would happen is if I never even knew I was in a championship battle and just go and do the best I can every week, and at the end of the season see where we end up. When you start thinking about that, it changes your perspective on things, and that's when the pressure starts getting to you, and that's when you start doing things different or making mistakes.
As we hear that comment from the leader, Alan Kulwicki, here is Ted Musgrave, and I'll be darned if he isn't taking 4th away from Mark Martin.
I guess this crew's going to go crazy. Yeah, they're going crazy again.
All right.
Well, that car just ahead of Musgrave is Wally Dallenbach Jr. Now, we told you how he had an incident with the wall earlier in the race, but he's still out there.
Still out there trying to make as many laps as he can. He was in the garage area for a long time as they made repairs on it, but he's out there trying to make as many laps as he can.
Ed Musgrave and Mark Martin, 4th and 5th. Inside Mark Martin's Valvoline Ford now. Coming off corner number 3 on the main straightaway.
Musgrave was to get up there on the back bumper of Brett Bodine to get by him and then get by Rudd, and those people go absolutely nuts with it. He got bumping on Kulwicki.
Yeah, it might not only be the crew, too. It might be a bunch of these people in the stands. They're watching what's going on, too.
Oh, yeah.
And folks watch this on TV, because I'm sure that Musgrave, he's from up in the Midwest and has raced the ASA circuit and all around in the Midwest, so I'm sure he has a lot of fans around the country who'd love to see him do well.
Another one of the guys that has come to NASCAR Winston Cup racing from the ASA circuit and has done very well. He was 2nd in the Rookie of the Year standings last year.
Kowicki got a tough break, caught that slow car up in the slow corner. That's Mike Potter. And that enabled Rudd to gain about a second on Kowicki. He had pulled out to about a 15-20 car length advantage, but he caught the traffic at a bad spot. Now, Brett Bodine caught the traffic at a bad spot going in the corner. Now, he's going to lose a lot of time as he has to go by on the outside.
We talked about how Kowicki won this race in June. Second place, Ricky Rudd hasn't won since Darlington in '91, and this guy, Brett Bodine, has not won a Winston Cup race since North Wilkesboro in 1990. And there is the helicopter that is transporting Davey Allison to a medical facility to be further evaluated. Now, the word we have is, and this is official from NASCAR and Chip Williams, the media coordinator, he has a broken right forearm, a swollen eye. However, he is conscious and in stable condition. Here comes Kowicki and Rudd and Brett Bodine. The first three come in together. Here's Jerry.
Final pit stop of the afternoon for these three drivers. Lap 179 coming up on lap 180. Just 20 to go. Still no decision from the Hooters crew. They're talking to Alvin as he comes down pit road as to whether they will change tires. Possibly they will change just two right side tires. That's exactly what they're going to do. Fill it up with fuel. All three cars you're watching as the crew's going to work. The Tide crew changing right side tires for Ricky Rudd. Meanwhile, the Hooters crew stop as Kowicki revs it up and pulls away. And here comes the Brett Bodine Quaker State Ford down pit road. So it'll be Kowicki, Bodine, and Rudd at dead heat headed back to turn one.
Did they change tires on Bodine's car? I didn't see them.
Change right side.
Yeah, they changed the right side.
No, I didn't see it. Okay.
Good stop.
Rudd had a little problem on his stop. Looked like he was waiting to get the car full of gas.
And fellas, the leader of this race is Ted Musgrave.
How about that?
Here he comes. Let's see. Yep. Crew's going crazy. He didn't pass the soul. He went crazy. There they go.
First time he's led a NASCAR Winston Cup race. 5 bonus points. Way to go, Ted.
Is this the first time he's ever led a Winston Cup race?
We're checking on that, but it could be.
Ray DeWitt, Dick Harris not going to want to let him go now, you know. I want to say, hey, Ted, hang around, buddy, because we got some great things going here.
I think that's the situation that'll, if anything, keeps him out of that 43 car. You know, his contract runs through next year with Radius.
And Buddy Parrott said that they had just a 10-lap stop for a splash of gas. So how much gas are they going to put in it? Can he save some time? Could he win this race?
Could he win it? Stay tuned, fans. And our congratulations to Martha McCann of Kittery, Maine, who is watching us here on ESPN and correctly identified the winner of the Halfway Challenge. She wins a beautiful Chevrolet Lumina to that Halfway Challenge. If you want to enter the contest at the Budweiser at the Glen on August 9th, write to Gillette Halfway Challenge, Post Office Box 2246, St. Petersburg, Florida, 33731-2246. You must be 18 years of age or older to enter, and we must receive your entry by Saturday, August the 8th, to be eligible for that race. Again, Martha McCann of Kittery, Maine is the winner, and her cousin, Marianne Ward, also of Kittery, won a car in Gillette Halfway Challenge earlier this year, and if memory serves me correctly, that was for the Indianapolis 500.
Look here, Ricky Rudd has caught and passed Brett Bodine. I wonder if Brett is having some sort of a problem. It looks like Rudd pulled away pretty good coming off of that turn, but here comes Rudd back up there. Has a problem, or maybe it's just not him. It's just that P-tire change.
18 laps to go in the Miller Genuine Draft 500 at Pocono. It's anybody's race. Stay with us for the concluding laps. We'll be back right after this. Draft 500. You'll need a pit stop before the end of the race. It's predicted in about 6 more laps with 10 laps to go. Behind him is the 6 car of Mark Martin. Then comes the 42 of Kyle Petty. Now, coming up just out of turn number 3 and down the front stretch here is the 17 car of Darrell Waltrip. At the moment, it is 4th. John, what's their pit strategy for the rest of the race?
Hey, you you know, Darrell Waltrip and Jeff Hammond, they're plotting their strategy. They've been talking about it. Jeff has told Darrell, hey, conserve fuel. We're going to beat these guys on fuel mileage. They don't plan to pit, and by my calculation, there are only ones who can even come close to going the rest of the way. And an update on Ted Musgrave, we're expecting him to pit along with Mark Martin in about 2 laps now. They've changed their strategy there somewhat.
All right, and how about Harry Gant? He's running in 5th position, and another one of those who stretches fuel mileage to the nth degree.
There is Harry Gant. He's right behind Darrell Waltrip. Now Waltrip and Gant might try to race each other for the win and stay out there. Well, that means they've used more fuel, and
they'll both run out of fuel on the last
blow all
lap.
the strategy out the
Who
window.
knows? Now, fellas, Harry Gant stopped 2 laps after Darrell did, but that was under caution, so Darrell didn't use a great deal of fuel during that period of time, but Harry does have a little bit more fuel than that.
Well, we're glad to announce that this guy, Buddy Parrott, has become the Western Auto mechanic of the race. Congratulations to Buddy and his tremendous job that he's done getting Ted Musgrave to the front of the pack.
And we saw the crew trying to figure out just how many laps they can run before they have to stop for fuel.
Darrell Waltrip is in 3rd position.
Fourth position, drafting on Rusty Wallace as much as he possibly can, trying to save as much fuel as he can. Rusty now running in 15th position. He is a lap down.
Here comes Mark Martin in the pits. Musgrave goes right on by, runs another lap, but the Hammond Ford is in the pits, and Jerry Punch is there.
Kyle Petty is in as well.
Valvoline Ford coming down pit road. Mark Martin, his final pit stop on lap 187. They are just going to gas, make a quick chassis adjustment, and he will be away. Greg Sachs looks down. In about 7 seconds, he is gone.
No tires for Mark Martin, just fuel.
Okay, there goes Kawicki down towards turn 1. He's going to be right behind Mark Martin, or maybe in front of him. Let's see. There goes Kawicki. There goes Kyle Petty, but meanwhile, Kawicki and Mark Martin are right up there, and Martin in front of Kawicki.
Sure is.
But Kawicki has fresher tires on the right side than does Mark Martin. Let's see if he can pass it. He's going to try right now. He's not going to wait.
Mark Martin's not the speed from leading the pits yet, and Kawicki goes by. That's how close it was.
And Ted Musgrave enters pit road. He gives up the lead, and John Kernan is there to watch this pit stop.
A tense moment here in Musgrave's pit. He comes in just a little hot, has to lock up the brakes. He maintained his 70 miles an hour. They're not going to pit him. It's just that he stayed at 70. He's finally away. That is a key whenever you're under the speed limit down pit road. It's some of the cars will slow down sooner.
Now, he might be able to get out ahead of the Alan Kawicki car, fellas. He's not going to get out ahead of Darrell Waltrip and Harry Gant.
Here goes Kawicki down towards turn 1. I think Musgrave is going to beat him.
He's trying to get that car up to speed. Here comes
Kawicki's behind all this truck. There's Kawicki behind all this truck. Now Kawicki's got to get by the slow cars to get to Musgrave.
Yep. Head being out.
Now, if Darrell Waltrip and Harry Gant can't make it, Musgrave might win this thing.
How about that?
He's got a pretty good cushion over Alan. Alan has a good many cars between he and Musgrave.
The slow traffic is going to hurt Kawicki because Musgrave doesn't have that much traffic in front of him.
Well, the drama builds.
There comes Darrell Waltrip. Harry Gant just 1 car behind Rusty Wallace. Uh-oh, Darrell's in front of Rusty.
Yeah,
how did he do that?
Well, he went ahead and passed him. I don't know. I thought it was back that he ran behind him a long time trying to conserve fuel. Let's go to the pits. John Kernan.
Talking with Jeff Hammond. Jeff, obviously you guys have decided to stretch the fuel mileage again. Do you have enough in that tank?
Well, we hope so, John. We've tried to plan everything down to that last stop and try to get as much as we could in the car. We've been having Darrell draft as much as we can. We still got the old man 33 behind us right there. We may have to contend with him before the day's over with. But, you know, right now we got kind of boxed in, so we couldn't race with the guys we wanted to race with. So we had to go like the backup plan to see what we can do here. It's worked a couple times for us. Hopefully it'll work again today, and we can hold Harry off and maybe get one in the victory lane.
That's Jeff Hammond, Darrell Waltrip's crew chief in about 11 laps. We'll find out if he's right.
That's the reason he passed Rusty Wallace. He looks up and sees Harry Gant coming, and he needed to go ahead.
Well, see, that's what I said. That's going to cost both of them the race, the fact they had to race someone.
Yep. Racing each other. Here's Dale Jarrett coming in. He had moved up to 3rd, but he's got to have a little bit of fuel in the Interstate Battery Chevrolet.
We have 10 laps to go. There's Dale coming in final pit stop. This will be a quick gas and go. They're making a slight adjustment there on the left.
Boy, he didn't get much gas in there.
No,
he didn't get very much gas in there at all, because the gas man didn't catch up to him. He run past him just a little bit. Maybe he has got to go the distance.
Chad Little pulling out just ahead of Dale. Darrell Waltrip leads Harry Gant. With less than 10 laps to go.
Okay, now Gant has passed Rusty Wallace, and he's going to try to catch Darrell Waltrip. And this is going to cost both of them the race, I do. Look. We'll see.
Well, they will burn more fuel.
I know they're going to burn more fuel.
And third place belongs to Ted Musgrave.
There comes Ted.
It's coming hard behind him. I think Allen has gained a little bit. You can see him back there. You can see him coming in passing Gordon Shepard.
Musgrave got a tough break. The fact that Greg Sachs was able to get behind, he's going to slow him down a little bit.
And Dick Prickle is in between him. Now, Dick, I don't know if he'll have to look at us pit stop or not. Yeah, he's on the lead lap. And fourth place. Now, Dale Jarrett, mistake. He's coming back into the pits and didn't get any fuel in the car.
That's right. Stop and go was too quick. They didn't get any fuel in the car. Dale Jarrett back on pit road as we watch the action on the racetrack. And Alan Kulwicki now sneaking up on this Dick Trickle car.
Trickle moves over, lets him go.
Yep.
Dick might be trying to stretch it out and knows that Allen's running faster than him. And so he's just going to give him racing room and let him go.
I think he's going to catch Musgrave for that third spot, because the next car in front of him is Ted Musgrave.
Yeah, he's mowing him down in a hurry now.
Trickle, meanwhile, pits. There's Dick bringing the Snickers Ford in.
Ricardo stop.
Just a little bit of fuel. Away he goes.
Eight laps to go. 20 more miles. Is there enough fuel in that baby? They're going to need about 3-4 gallons. Is there 3 or 4 gallons? And believe me, when it's over that hoop, there we go. Kulwicki goes by Musgrave.
Third place now goes to Alan Kulwicki. Musgrave back to fourth.
Now, can Darrell Waltrip and Harry Gant make it the rest of the way? I don't think there's enough time that Allen can catch them if they can stay running. In fact, they're pretty far. They're about 8 or 10 seconds out in front of them.
Yeah.
So
they're going to have to run out of fuel in order for Allen to win the race.
And that's the only way they're going to stop, I think, is run out of fuel.
I agree with you. He's going to stay there till she quits.
Waltrip goes for the tunnel turn with 6.5 laps to go.
And Harry Gant's not going to make the charge. There we see Gant behind Waltrip. He's not been able to close up. So
Darrell has not won a race in 1992. His best finish was second at Michigan.
So what is that, 6 more laps? 7
Yep.
more.
Here's Rudd and Mark Martin battling for position. This is for 5th spot. Ricky gets it.
Oh, what's that debris on the race?
Looks like it's
rubber.
Rubber.
6 more laps.
Richard Petty's in for that fuel.
Riding with Mark Martin.
Who has caught Ricky Rudd. That's the position. They're racing for 5th spot. Well, I guess maybe Rudd just went by him.
Yeah, he did.
Gant pulled away. Waltrip has pulled away a little bit from Harry Gant. Now he's running in on some traffic.
Waltrip making his way down the front stretch, passing Ken Schrader. There's second place Gant. And now there are 5 laps to go.
That Gant might have sensed that he might not be able to catch Darrell, said, hey, let me go ahead and conserve this fuel. Let him go ahead and run hard. And see if I can make it, he can't.
I told his 7 laps a little bit ago, or 6 laps a little bit ago. The scoreboard is 1 behind, I think. It's really confusing because now they've flashed up another, we'll say 5 laps to go while Waltrip's over in the tunnel corner. So let it suffice to say, I don't know how many laps there is to go.
Well, I think coming down this time there will be 4. If Darrell Waltrip should win, it will be his first Winston Cup win since June of '91. It will be his 82nd career NASCAR Winston Cup win. There are 4 laps to go now, and here is Alan Kulwicki running 3rd.
And Ricky Rudd coming up on Ted Musgrave. Didn't quite make the pass then.
This is for 4th spot.
Ted's coming off of there.
Remember, Rudd changed tires on that last pit stop, and Musgrave did not get to change tires. He put fuel on in the spot.
Darrell, well, Darrell Waltrip, here he is coming up on Rick Mast. Here is Rudd now passing Ted Musgrave and taking over 4th.
Came off that flat tunnel corner, got a good run in turn 3. Ooh, Musgrave's car is going away, Ned.
Yes, it is. Yeah, he has abused those tires. Well, what he had to do to get up to the front, he had to run it hard, but I think it took its toll on those tires, and Rudd has those fresher right side tires.
Well, you can bet that Darrell Waltrip is saying, please.
Oh, he's saying a prayer every moment around this place.
And Harry Gant's getting a little closer.
Yes, he is. He's moved in closer to him.
We're going to probably widen out here, and you can see Harry Gant's a few car lengths behind Darrell Waltrip.
Closing in.
When you come by this time, two laps to go.
That's 5 miles.
That's 5 miles.
It takes a little over a gallon of gas.
Let's see.
198 complete. 2 to go. Can Waltrip and Gant hang on? Can both of them hang on? Can one of them hang on? If they don't, it's going to be Alan Kulwicki winning this race.
Here comes Kulwicki. He just went by the start-finish line as Waltrip goes down in turn 1.
Kulwicki has a good lead over Ricky Rudd. Rudd, who is running 4th.
Well, Gant's closing in, guys. He's within a car length and a half. We're showing you the interval between 2nd and 3rd. There's Alan. So you can see he's not going to catch the front 2.
Unless they do run out of gas.
Yep. This time by, the white flag will be displayed.
I think Andy Petrie told Harry Gant, forget about saving gas. You got to go for it.
Yeah, you got to go for it now. He's coming up closer and closer as they come off of turn 3. And the white flag will be waving, Bob.
Yep.
It's going to be exciting.
1 more lap to go. Yeah, the purpose of staying out there and to take the chance is not to finish 2nd. So you got to stand on the accelerator and you got to take the lead away from Darrell Waltrip. And that is exactly what Harry Gant's motive and his desire is at the moment. However, it is Darrell Waltrip who is continuing to hold the lead as we watch that battle between Musgrave and Mark Martin. Here is Darrell Waltrip still up to speed on the Long Pond straightaway, headed for turn number 2.
He stretched down a little bit over Darrell as he went through turns 1 and 2.
Sets the car into the tunnel turn.
It's almost like Harry ran out of gas or something coming off that corner.
He's got just another corner to manipulate, and then onto the long straightaway, and halfway down it for the checkered flag. Yeah, he's stretched out now over Harry Gant, and the Western Auto crew is saying, come on, Darrell, come on, Darrell. Here he comes off of corner number 3.
Didn't coast the rest of the way.
He's got it. Darrell Waltrip has won the Miller Genuine Drafts 500 using fuel conservation. He has won. Gant finishes in 2nd position. Kulwicki 3rd. Look at this battle for 4th position between Ted Musgrave and Mark Martin. Musgrave got it.
That was 5th position they were racing for, wasn't it?
Well, that was 4th.
Yeah, they don't have Ricky Rudd on that.
They don't have Ricky Rudd. rut in there. Evidently, they missed rut.
Let's get out to John Kernan.
Hey, high fives, high tens all the way around. You guys made the right call. For a minute there, did he radio in and say it kind of gurgled a little bit on him?
Well, what it does, when you get real low in the tank, sometimes certain parts of the racetrack, it's going to swing all the fuel away from the pickup. And when it does that, the pressure will go down a little bit. And Darrell's real conscious of that. When he sees the pressure move, he'll call me. But, you know, everything went great today. And, you know, we just did a good job trying to plan our strategy. We couldn't beat them on the racetrack, so we had to outsmart them. And it worked for us.
You guys aren't too excited about this, are you?
Oh, I mean, I can't say enough about it. I mean, we lost one like this at Dover, so now we got one back from it, Pocono. It's kind of neat.
Hey, I think it's going to be a wild celebration in Victory Lane, guys.
Darrell Waltrip wins the Miller Genuine Draft 500. We'll be back to talk with him in Victory Lane in just a moment. We'll be right back. Waltrip climbed from the Western Auto Chevrolet and acknowledged his win of the Miller Genuine Draft 500 here at Pocono International Raceway. Darrell Waltrip, one very excited race driver. His first win since here at Pocono in June. Well, let's go down to our Kodak Winner's Circle interview. Here's Dr. Jerry Punch.
Thank you very much. And they're not excited at all, not happy at all. DW, congratulations.
Honey, where are you? Honey, this is for the baby. This is for you and Jessica and the baby. This is wonderful, honey. We did it on gas mileage. Can you imagine? She was worried about her gas mileage because she's figured it all my life.
Now you're talking about Stevie, who's back in Franklin, watching at home.
Watching on TV right now, her and Jessica Lee. Love y'all.
Now, she's not close enough to have that baby jumping up and down here in his last couple laps.
Well, that's pretty close. Sometime, you know, in the next 4 or 5 weeks. So, honey, just hold on. I'll be home in a little while.
How about the gas mileage? Did you think you could make it? I know Jeff was talking to you.
I didn't think we could, but he said we could, so I just kept going, and it ran out on the last lap, and I know people get tired of hearing that, but that's exactly what happened. And coming back in and topping off, that was the saving deal for us, but the main thing is how's Davey doing? You know, he and I got together on that deal over there, but it was nothing I could do. He just kept cutting and cutting, and when we hit, he just turned and went right into the infield, so I don't know what y'all saw, but we did get together.
Well, that's the first thing. We might tell the folks almost the very first thing Darrell Waltrip asked when he jumped out of the car here is how's Davey Allison. And we'll tell you, Davey, they think he has a broken right arm and may have a fracture above his left eye, but otherwise, he seems to be okay, DW.
Well, I'm sorry. Sorry that happened, but, you know, we were all going for the same hoe and just run out of room.
It's been a long time.
Well, it's been a year ago this race, or this spring race, I guess, so it's been almost a year, but today this car was good here in the spring, and we broke a gearbox. Today, everything worked good. We shifted the whole thing to death.
Darrell Waltrip in Victory Lane for the first time in 1992.
Thank the Lord for
and he thanks the Lord for a safe race. And another guy who's probably just as happy as DW is standing by with John Kernan.
Well, that's Ted Musgrave. A great run for you. You had to fit with about 11, 12 laps to go, or you might have had a shot at the win there. The fuel mileage was the key today.
Yeah, the fuel mileage we still haven't quite worked out. You know, it got us a little bit at Michigan and hurt a little bit here today, but you know, that Radius Motorsports Jasper Ford is coming on. Every time we come out with it, get better and better. And I just burned up the right front tire towards the end, and I couldn't hold off Ricky. You know, I did my best to hold off Mark, and I think he may have gave me a little edge at the end there to hold in front of him. But everybody ran me good today. I'm proud of everybody that I ran with, and the crew did an excellent job. The car ran well all day. I just burned the tires off trying to stay up front.
That's Ted Musgrave, satisfied with his finish today, but he thinks he could do better, and he probably will next week.
Ted Musgrave, 5th. Darrell Waltrip's win, his 4th here at Pocono, ties him with Tim Richmond and Bill Elliott for the most wins at this facility. Well, we'll look at the full field results here as this race has been concluded. We've reviewed for you the top 5. Let's look now at 6 through 10. There you can see that Mark Martin finished in 6th position after that great battle right to the checkered flag with Ted Musgrave. Moving along to 11 through 15th, there you'll find Marlon Schrader, Elliott, Hensley, and Shepard.
So Elliott will take the Winston Cup point lead after today's action. Richard Petty back in 20.
10 cars in the lead lap.
Dale Earnhardt finishes in 23rd position. Jeff Bodine wound up in 30th spot. Wally Dallenbach Jr. 32nd. Davey Allison will finish in 33rd position after that horrifying crash over on the North Straightaway.
Of course, all of these cars had trouble of one sort or another. So a couple of them might have repaired and got back out there and run some, but Mike Skinner didn't even get off the grid.
And we'll take a look now at the top 5 in the points as Bill Elliott has gone on top of the quest for the Cup standings, followed by Allison, Kulwicki, Gant, and Martin. Week at 7:30 and for an IMSA race next Sunday afternoon. For now, this is Bob Jenkins. Thanks for joining us. So long, everyone.